The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 976. The female supporting character of the house fighting true love story. The original body told Guan Pengfei about her pregnancy and asked Guan Pengfei to take her away. The original body should be special to Guan Pengfei. After all, there is a woman who loves him deeply, and this woman is the wife of his younger brother who always suppresses him, and now she is pregnant with his child. Guan Pengfei knew that the original body would be miserable after being found pregnant, and he couldn't bear the original body and the child in her belly to suffer, so he agreed to elope with the original body. The reason why he was so happy was that the woman he loved was intimate with his younger brother every day, which made him painful. He decided to give up this relationship and live peacefully with the woman who loved him and his child from then on. The two agreed on the time to leave together and the place to meet. As a result, when the original body arrived at the agreed place with her luggage, she did not see Guan Pengfei, so the original body kept waiting for Guan Pengfei. She was a stubborn person, and she would wait and wait, even if the agreed time had passed a lot, even if the night fell and passed, even if the clothes on her body were wet by the cold dew, even if the cold wind blew all night, causing the cold wind to enter the body. The original body did not wait for Guan Pengfei. She didn't give up. She went to find Guan Pengfei and wanted Guan Pengfei to leave with her. Of course, the original body would never go back to the Guan family. From the moment she left the Guan family, she completely severed ties with the Guan family and didn't want to continue to be the young lady of the Guan family. The original body inquired about the news outside the Guan family and finally knew why Guan Pengfei broke the appointment. Because of Si Minrao. Guan Pengzhu is not at Guan's house. Si Minrao suddenly fainted and fell. The servants were useless. Guan Pengfei was worried about the woman he loved, so he naturally put aside the matter of eloping with other women. He asked for a doctor and took care of Si Minrao, and was busy all night. Hearing this news, the original body was cold from head to toe. She gave up. Guan Pengfei was not her man. There was only Si Minrao in his heart. The original body had a cold in her body, and she died in despair, leaving her body to Su Qingni. Su Qingni sighed and gave some merit to the soul of the original body. She touched her belly, and there was still a child inside. After traveling through so many worlds, Su Qingni also gave birth to a child and had experience as a pregnant woman. Although the original body was very delicate, now that she was here, she could naturally restore her body to health and make the baby in her belly healthy. After receiving the memory of the original body, Su Qingni didn't want to stay in the town. As the eldest lady of the Su family and the eldest young lady of the Guan family, many people in the town knew her. If she continued to stay in the town, she would soon be found by the Guan family or the Su family. Su Qingni didn't want to have a love triangle with Guan Pengfei, Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao. The original body that liked Guan Pengfei was no longer there, and she didn't want to have any relationship with Guan Pengfei. As for the child in her belly, since other women were more important in his father's heart, then he didn't want this father. Su Qingni left the deserted house with a suitcase and left the town. She found a nearby village and hired a bullock cart to take her to the county town. She borrowed a pen and ink to write a divorce letter and gave money to a young man in the village to deliver the divorce letter to the Guan family. The original body left the Guan family regardless of anything, but she didn't want to bear the title of the young lady of the Guan family. I believe Guan Pengzhu will be very happy to receive her divorce letter. Guan Pengzhu was of course happy. Although Si Minrao broke her foot, it was not serious and she would be fine after a rest. And the reason why she fainted and fell was because she was pregnant. Guan Pengzhu was so happy that the woman he loved was pregnant with his child. However, there were some unsatisfactory things in the joy. The woman he loved was not his legitimate wife, and the children born could only be illegitimate children. Thinking about it this way, Guan Pengzhu felt wronged for his sons and daughters. But Su Qingni did not commit any of the 7 reasons for divorce. She was honest and silent, and she didn't bother Minrao in front of him, nor did she embarrass Minrao. He really had no reason to divorce Su Qingni. After the joy, there was embarrassment. Guan Pengzhu was thinking of a solution in his study, but he couldn't think of a way to have the best of both worlds. And at this time, Su Qingni's divorce letter was delivered. Guan Pengzhu was so happy. He didn't expect Su Qingni to be so tactful. He couldn't help but feel grateful to Su Qingni. Guan Pengju happily took the divorce letter to Si Minrao. After being surprised, Si Minrao also felt grateful to Su Qingni and reminded Guan Pengju to send Su Qingni's dowry back to the Su family. They didn't see Su Qingni at Guan's house and thought that Su Qingni had returned to her parents' home, so they asked the servants to pack up Su Qingni's dowry and send it back to the Su family. Su Bancheng was surprised to receive the dowry sent back by the Guan family. After asking again, he found out that Su Qingni and Guan Pengju had divorced. Su Bancheng was so angry. He hadn't taken over the Guan family yet, and Su Qingni dared to divorce Guan Pengju, destroying his plan. Even his own daughter could not be spared. Su Bancheng asked people to capture Su Qingni, but they didn't find her at all. Later, he found out that Su Qingni had left the town with her luggage. Guan Pengju got the news that Su Qingni did not return to the Su family but left. He was stunned for a long time before sighing, "I am sorry for her. Su Qingni is a good woman, unlike his father. It's a pity that he already has someone he likes, but he can't treat her well after marrying her. Alice, it is very dangerous for a woman to leave alone. You know, there are many bandits near this town. I hope Su Qingni is lucky and doesn't meet bandits." Guan Pengju felt a deep sense of guilt towards Su Qingni. Guan Pengfei was busy all night because of Si Minrao's fall, but he learned that his beloved was pregnant with his brother's child. Guan Pengfei felt very sad. He returned to his yard and drank to drown his sorrows with a jar of wine. He got drunk. When he woke up, he always felt that he had forgotten something. The conversation of the servants came into Guan Pengfei's ears, saying that the eldest young lady and the eldest young master had divorced, and Aunt Ro was about to take over as the new young lady. Guan Pengfei was shocked to realize that he had forgotten his agreement with Su Qingni. Guan Pengfei hurried to the agreed place, but there was no one there. After all, a day and a night had passed. How could she still be waiting for him here foolishly? Su Qingni must be very disappointed in him. Guan Pengfei wanted to find Su Qingni, but learned that Su Qingni had left the town alone. Guan Pengfei slapped himself twice. He chased out of the town, but couldn't catch up with the person who left, so he could only return to the town sadly. Why did he come back? Of course, he couldn't bear to leave Si Minrao. Although Guan Pengfei felt guilty about Su Qingni, he couldn't let go of Si Minrao in his heart, even though Si Minrao was pregnant with another man's child. Guan Pengfei still couldn't let go of his feelings for Si Minrao. Chapter 977 The female supporting character of the house fighting true love story. Su Qingni really encountered bandits as Guan Pengju worried. But Su Qingni is not a pushover. Although she has just started practicing health-preserving skills and does not have much strength, she has a powerful weapon in her hand. The original body is not a naive person. She planned to elope and thought about the problems she would encounter on the way to elope. The original body had a wooden warehouse in her hand, which was given to her by Su Bancheng when she got married. The original body thought that she would never use this thing in her life, so she kept it at the bottom of the box. Even the maid who served her did not know the existence of the wooden warehouse. The original body thought that it would be unsafe to elope, so she found the wooden warehouse. The original body knew how to use the wooden warehouse, but the wooden warehouse method was not very good. She originally wanted to give the wooden warehouse to Guan Pengfei to use. Su Qingni's wooden warehouse method was far inferior to the original body. Every time she used the wooden warehouse, she injured all the bandits who wanted to rob her. Su Qingni left in style, and the news that she injured the bandits was later passed back to the town by the people driving the ox cart. Hearing about Su Qingni's great achievements, the three men of Su Bancheng, Guan Pengfei and Guan Pengju, were all surprised. Su Qingni was so tough. She looked weak on the outside and didn't resist when she was bullied. Was she pretending all the time? This woman was really different. Guan Pengfei and Guan Pengju originally thought that Si Minrao was the most special woman, but now it seems that Su Qingni is not an ordinary woman. Su Qingni didn't know what the two brothers of the Guan family thought of her. She had already boarded the train to the south. After sitting on the train for several days, Su Qingni came to a big city in the south and stayed there temporarily. Tradition and fashion are intertwined in this city. There are big families with traditional ideas, as well as foreigners and more people who worship foreigners. Such an environment is good for Su Qingni. At least she is a single woman who is pregnant, and not many people point fingers at her. She has money and bought a house in a residential area where foreigners gather. Now no one dares to take advantage of her. Most of the neighbors around are foreigners. Su Qingni knows the languages of many countries and has no problem communicating with foreigners. Therefore, she has made many foreign friends. Of course, there is not a single friend who is truly friendly with her. Through these foreigners, Su Qingni got a job to translate some foreign materials and foreign books into the language of Daxia to earn translation fees. The status of literati in this era is very high, and the salary is correspondingly high, and the translation fee has doubled. Su Qingni only spends 1 hour working every day and can earn hundreds of dollars a month. You should know that $1 is enough for an ordinary family to live for 10 days. With money and leisure, Su Qingni's life is as comfortable as it can be. The child grew well in her belly, and she gave birth to a big fat boy. Su Qingni named the child Su Zhiaz. This is a very energetic and naughty boy, more noisy than other children Su Qingni has raised, just like her little devil. Sometimes Su Qingni is very troubled by this boy, especially when other children's parents bring their own children to ask for an explanation. But this kid is very filial and listens to Su Qingni. He will study seriously what Su Qingni teaches him. This kid has been determined to be a general since he was a child, so Su Qingni often uses this point to make Su Zhiaz practice martial arts hard. In today's world, war is inevitable. When Su Zhiaz is 15 or 16 years old, it is just when the war breaks out. With this kid's personality, he will definitely want to go to the battlefield. Su Qingni will not stop Su Zhiaz. She will help Su Zhiaz improve his strength so that Su Zhiaz has a better chance of survival after going to the battlefield. Therefore, Su Qingni not only taught Su Zhiaz Kung Fu, but also taught Su Zhiaz the Mukang method, and even trained Su Zhiaz with the training methods of modern special forces. When Su Zhiaz was 11 or 12 years old, he was able to kill several adult men. That strength is awesome. Su Qingni walked into a medicine shop, took out the prescription and asked the medicine shop clerk to get the medicine for her. After the medicine was prepared, Su Qingni took the medicine and left. The clerk smiled and sent the person away, but found that Su Qingni had pulled down a book. He hurriedly picked up the book and chased out the door, but he did not see Su Qingni again. The clerk took the book back to the shop, thinking that he would put the book away. Maybe the lady would find the book missing and come back to look for it, and then he would return the book to the lady. The pharmacy had no business afterwards, and the clerk felt bored, so he took out the book and wanted to read it to kill time. As a result, when he opened the pages and saw the contents inside, the clerk's eyes widened. He hurriedly shouted loudly, "Shopkeeper! Shopkeeper! Lao Zhang! Lao Zhang!" A middle-aged man who looked like a shopkeeper came out. "Xiao Li, why are you shouting so loudly? I'm preparing medicine, and you scared me so much that the medicine fell on the ground." Xiao Li didn't care about the shopkeeper's complaints, and urged the shopkeeper again and again, "Lao Zhang, come and see what this is." Lao Zhang was surprised by Xiao Li's misbehavior and immediately walked to Xiao Li. Xiao Li stuffed the book in his hand into Lao Zhang's hand and asked him to read the contents inside. Lao Zhang looked down and saw that the page had a method for preparing a wound medicine. The herbs used in this method were very common, but the healing effect written on it was very powerful. This made Lao Zhang a little unconvinced. Could ordinary herbs make such a wound medicine with such a good effect? Then he turned to the next page. This page had a method for preparing a hemostatic drug. It was also simple and ordinary herbs, but the effect written on it was too exaggerated. Lao Zhang couldn't help but say, "Are these all fake? How can ordinary herbs make such a wound medicine with such a good effect?" When he turned to the last page, Lao Zhang's eyes widened. This was a penicillin extraction and production process. What is penicillin? It's a magic medicine on the battlefield. With penicillin, the chances of the wounded surviving will increase by 70%. Old Zhang's breathing became rapid. "Xiao Li, do you think this method of extracting penicillin is true?" Xiao Li also breathed rapidly. "Whether it is true or not, we can tell by sending it back to my hometown and letting people there try it. Even if it is fake, it won't be a big deal." Old Zhang nodded repeatedly after hearing this. "Well, send the previous prescriptions back to my hometown and let people there prepare them. Even if the effect is not as good as what is written in this book, it is at least a medicine for wounds. What my hometown lacks most is medicine. These medicines for wounds only require ordinary medicinal materials to be made, which can be collected in my hometown." Xiao Li nodded at the side. Xiao Li said, "Let's quickly copy down these prescriptions before the owner of the book comes back to look for the book." Old Zhang immediately went to get paper and a pen, and began to copy the book as if racing against time. Chapter 978, the female supporting character of the house fighting true love story. After the two of them finished copying the contents of the book, Su Qingni leisurely entered the drugstore and asked Xiaoli for the book. Xiaoli returned the book to Su Qingni very attentively. Su Qingni took the book casually, not paying any attention to the appearance of the book, as if the book was dispensable to her. Lao Zhang's eyes flashed, and he looked at the woman carefully. Unfortunately, with his eyes that knew countless people, he could not see through this woman. Su Qingni left the drugstore and entered another bookstore. Su Qingni bought a lot of books in the bookstore, but when she left, she accidentally left the book she originally brought. The owner of the bookstore found the book and reacted the same as the owner and the clerk of the drugstore. The two handwritten books were sent to two places, and someone made medicine according to the process written on it. Penicillin was made, and other hemostatic drugs and wound medicines were also proven to be powerful, just as written in the book. Every once in a while, Su Qingni would go to the drugstore and bookstore for a walk, and every time she would always forget something. Once again, Su Qingni actually left behind two drawings for making weapons. According to the drawings, the two weapons were not difficult to make, but their power was greater than that of today's thermal weapons. People on both sides understood that Su Qingni was intentional, and she secretly helped them in this way. Su Qingni smiled, believing that with her help, the time for Daxia to win the war of aggression against the enemy would be much shorter. As Su Qingni expected, Daxia defeated the invaders 3 years shorter than it would have otherwise. Su Zhiz joined the army after the outbreak of the war of aggression. He was only 15 years old at the time, but his sharp skills, profound knowledge, and strong command ability made Su Zhiz stand out quickly. As he made meritorious contributions, his military rank became higher and higher. Later, Su Zhiz chose the winning side in the civil war under the guidance of his mother. When the war was completely over, the young man had already been the commander of a division. It really fulfilled the saying that young people are promising. Su Zhiz took his mother to his side, wanting to take good care of her and take her to witness the founding ceremony of the new Daxia kingdom with his own eyes. However, Su Qingni did not need him to take her. Someone specially invited Su Qingni to attend the founding ceremony, and she was in the VIP seat, standing on the city wall. You have to know that Su Zhiz is a division commander, but he is not qualified to go to the city wall to watch the founding ceremony with many bigwigs. This is because the new government thanks Su Qingni for her contributions over the years. Although it is just a few drawings and prescriptions, it has saved many people and reduced the casualties of soldiers on the battlefield by at least half. Su Zhiz was stunned to know the merits of his own mother. But after being surprised, he accepted it calmly. His own mother is so powerful, otherwise she would not have raised such an excellent boy. The young man thought proudly. The troops where Su Zhiz was stationed were not far from the town where Su Qingni left. Su Qingni thought about it, called Su Zhiz to her side, and asked him if he wanted to go back and take a look. When Su Zhiz was 15 years old, Su Qingni told Su Zhiz about her and Su Zhiz's life stories. Although Su Zhiz was biased towards his mother, he felt that Guan Pengfei was sorry for his mother and was not worthy of her, and he did not like his father. But no matter how much he disliked him, a child who had been without a father since childhood was still curious about his father, and even had a little expectation. He wanted to see his father, even if he would not recognize him. Su Zhiz asked the army for a few days' leave and followed Su Qingni to the town. Although there was no train between the town and the county, there were cars for transportation, which was much faster than using a bullock cart. It didn't take too long on the road, and the mother and son stood outside the town. At first glance, the town had not changed much, but the people and things inside had changed drastically. The bandits outside the town had long been wiped out, and the Su Banchang family, one of the two richest families, disappeared, and the Guan family also suffered. Now only Guan Pengju, Si Minrao and their daughter survived. When the invaders captured the town, as the two richest families, they were naturally coveted by the invaders. The invaders first tried to win them over with soft means, but neither family accepted the invaders' enticement. Although Su Banchang was cruel and cunning, and had his eyes on other people's property, he was a tough guy and would never be a traitor. The same was true for the brothers Guan Pengfei and Guan Pengju. When the invaders failed to use soft means, they used hard means, and the Su family disappeared in a fire. However, Su Banchang was cunning and sent his two sons to the south before the invaders came in, and exchanged half of his property for yellow croaker for them to take away. The Su family at least saved 2 roots. Guan Pengzhu and Guan Pengfei did not have Su Banchang's calculations. They wanted to run away with their families, but they had long been targeted by the invaders, and their entire family was arrested by the invaders and imprisoned. Guan Pengzhu's biological mother and many people in the Guan family died in prison. He and Si Minrao may have had the aura of the protagonist, so they did not die and waited for the rescue of the guerrillas. Guan Pengfei also ran away with the guerrillas at that time, but he did not run out of town. In order to block the wooden Kangxi for Si Minrao, Guan Pengfei died at the entrance of the town. Su Zilaz was in a very complicated mood when he heard the news. He was a little sad. After all, he was his biological father. But his biological father died to protect another woman, and he didn't know how his second uncle would react. Su Zilaz found out the burial place of Guan Pengfei, bought wine, food and paper money, and went to worship Guan Pengfei with Su Qingni. Guan Pengfei's bones were originally buried in a random place. Later, the invaders were driven away. Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao returned to the town and moved his bones into the Guan family's ancestral tomb. As the former young lady of the Guan family, Su Qingni naturally knew where the Guan family's ancestral tomb was. The two came to the Guan family's ancestral tomb, which was well taken care of and there were no weeds. I think someone came to clean it often. After finding Guan Pengfei's tomb, Su Zilaz took out wine and food, lit incense and candles, and kowtowed 3 times in front of the tombstone. Then Su Zilaz began to burn paper silently. Su Zilaz really had nothing to say about his biological father. Su Qingni stood aside. She had nothing to do with Guan Pengfei, and Guan Pengfei could not bear her worship. Su Qingni looked into the distance, and suddenly, her eyes narrowed. She saw a middle-aged couple leading a 7 or 8-year-old girl walking towards this side. Although the couple had aged a lot, and the years had shaved their faces to a horrible state, Su Qingni still recognized the 2 people. Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao. They also held incense, candles, and paper money in their hands, and they also came to burn paper. Chapter 979 The female supporting character of the house-fighting true love story. Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao also saw Su Qingni, and then saw Su Zilaz. Both of them were surprised. Besides them, there were actually people in the town who would come to worship Guan's family. The 2 walked forward in confusion and saw Su Qingni standing in front of Guan Pengfei. They thought she was a stranger whom Guan Pengfei knew when he was young. Guan Pengzhu asked, "Excuse me, are you an old acquaintance of my eldest brother?" Su Qingni narrowed her eyes. "I didn't expect Guan Pengzhu to not recognize me. You know, she hasn't changed much from 20 years ago. Her appearance is still the same as before." But Guan Pengzhu couldn't recognize her. How much he ignored his wife. Su Qingni nodded and smiled politely. "Yes, it's an old acquaintance." Guan Pengzhu asked, "May I ask your name?" Su Qingni, "My surname is Su." Su? This surname made the 2 of them a little dazed, and their eyes were focused on Su Qingni's face. You are Su Qingni," Guan Pengzhu said in surprise. He finally recognized Su Qingni. Guan Pengzhu's eyes immediately turned to Su Zilaz. Su Zilaz's face combines the advantages of Su Qingni and Guan Pengfei, but he is more like Guan Pengfei, and is 60% similar to Guan Pengfei. When Guan Pengzhu saw Su Zilaz's face, his expression suddenly became excited. He pointed at Su Zilaz and asked Su Qingni, he is the eldest brother's child." Su Qingni nodded and glanced at Su Zilaz. Su Zilaz walked forward and greeted Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao politely, "Second uncle, second aunt. Nice to meet you, I am Su Zilaz." Guan Pengzhu and Si Minrao's tears flowed down at once. Guan Pengzhu took 2 steps forward, grabbed Su Zilaz's hands, and looked at Su Zilaz more carefully, muttering, Good. The eldest brother has a successor, and the Guan family has a successor. Child, have you been doing well these years?" "I'm fine, thank you for your concern, second uncle." Su Zilaz responded to Guan Pengzhu politely. Su Zilaz did not have any bad feelings towards this ex-husband of his biological mother and the younger brother of his biological father. Instead, he felt a little sympathetic towards him. Well, his own mother and father must have given him a very shiny green hat. Guan Pengzhu was very excited, and he kept talking to Su Zilaz, asking about Su Zilaz's situation over the years, and talking about his past with Guan Pengfei. Si Minrao wiped her tears. This woman was soft on the outside but strong on the inside, and she didn't like to cry, but this time she couldn't stop crying. Su Qingni and their daughter, the little girl Guan Ziyuan, looked at each other. The little girl gave Su Qingni a shy smile and looked at Su Qingni with curiosity, with envy in her eyes. Su Qingni smiled at the little girl and said, "You should worship first. After burning the paper, find a place to sit down and chat slowly." "Yes, yes, yes," Guan Pengju said hurriedly. "Ziz, you and your mother wait for us for a while. After we burn the paper for your grandparents and father, I will take you home." Guan Pengju and Si Minrao used to worship the dead slowly, with a lot of rules and a lot of time. But this time the two of them sped up, and some unnecessary steps were cancelled. Therefore, it didn't take much time to burn the paper, and led Su Qingni and Su Ziz back to town. Guan Pengju's family of 3 did not live in the Guan family's ancestral house. That house was too big and had been donated by Guan Pengju. The 3 of them lived in a house facing the street, with a living room, a bedroom, and an attic. The area was not large. Including the attic, the total area was less than 60 square meters, but it was enough for a family of 3. Su Qingni and Su Ziz sat on the bamboo benches in the living room, and Si Minrao made tea for them and brought it up. "The quality of the tea is not good, so we can only make do with it," Si Minrao said embarrassedly. Su Qingni took the teacup and said, "It's okay, it's good to have something to drink." Si Minrao nodded in agreement. Now the Su family and the Guan family no longer exist. They are not the young wives and concubines of the rich families in the past, but ordinary people. It is already very good for their family to be able to buy tea to drink. This is because both Guan Pengju and Si Minrao are working, and their combined salary is not low. Si Minrao sat next to Guan Pengju, facing Su Qingni and her son. As for Guan Ziwen, she was driven to the attic by Si Minrao to do homework. Guan Pengju opened his mouth, but didn't know how to address Su Qingni. Su Qingni said, "Call me Comrade Su." "Comrade Su." Guan Pengju said, "Brother didn't break the appointment on purpose. He has always regretted not keeping the appointment. Before he died, he was most concerned about you and the child. He regretted not being able to follow you to take care of you and regretted not seeing the child born and growing up." Su Qingni's expression was indifferent, and she didn't respond to Guan Pengju's words. She believed that Guan Pengfei had regrets, but she didn't believe that Guan Pengfei regretted not keeping the appointment. In Guan Pengfei's heart, Si Minrao was much more important than his original self. Otherwise, he would not have died to block the wooden warehouse for Si Minrao. Seeing Su Qingni's reaction, Guan Pengju and Si Minrao were a little embarrassed, especially Si Minrao. "I'm sorry." Si Minrao apologized to Su Qingni very sincerely. Su Qingni shook her head. "You don't need to apologize, you didn't do anything. That was Guan Pengfei's own choice. As for me," Su Qingni smiled, "I don't care about Guan Pengfei anymore. I think it's good to be alone, and it's also good to leave this town. Leaving the town is like being reborn. I don't have to be embarrassed between the Guan family and the Su family. I am free. I am very happy. Other people and things are meaningless to me." Si Minrao and Guan Pengju understood. Su Qingni left the past in the town. When she left, she said goodbye to her past self and separated herself. The two were silent for a long time. Guan Pengju then asked about Su Ziz's growth process. They were both surprised to hear that Su Ziz was now a teacher. Su Ziz was only in his 20s. But the child was so outstanding, and the elders were also proud of him. Especially Guan Pengju, he was very happy that the Guan family had such an excellent heir as Su Ziz. The bloodline of the Guan family can be preserved and will not be cut off by him. Guan Pengju and Si Minrao had 4 children, but the first 3 children did not survive and died in the war. Later, when Si Minrao gave birth to Guan Ziwen, she was old and had difficulty in childbirth. She was injured and would not have children in the future. Guan Pengju had always been worried that the incense of the Guan family would be cut off by him, and now a big nephew suddenly appeared. He was very happy. Guan Pengju wanted Su Ziz to change back to Guan, but Su Ziz was used to his surname and refused Guan Pengju's request. However, he promised that half of the children born in the future would be surnamed Guan and half would be surnamed Su. Chapter 980 The female supporting character in a woman disguised as a man. Su Qingni and Su Ziz stayed in the town for 3 days, and then Guan Pengju and Si Minrao saw them off. For the rest of her life, Su Qingni never returned to the town, nor did she see the two again. However, Su Ziz was very caring towards his cousin Guan Ziwen. The two had a good relationship, and their children also had a good relationship. The two families lived in harmony for many generations. Su Ziyas later met the descendants of the Su family. The two sons of Su Banchang went south to Gangcheng. However, Gangcheng was not so easy to get along with. A lot of the money they brought was cheated away, so they were able to gain a foothold in Gangcheng and became a well-off family from a wealthy family. Later, one of their grandsons became a star, and the reporter dug out all his backgrounds for Su Ziyas to see, so he contacted the grandson of the big star and met with the Su family. At that time, Su Ziyas was already a leader. I crossed the dividing line of another world. Miss, the medicine is ready, take it while it's hot. The maid brought a medicine bowl. Su Qingni took the medicine bowl and drank the medicine in it in one gulp. The maid's mouth twitched at the sturdy appearance. The eldest lady looked so much like her own young master, they are indeed siblings. But didn't the eldest lady always claim to be a lady and pay great attention to her image when doing things? Why doesn't she say it now? Su Qingni saw what the maid was thinking and said lightly, I'm sick, why am I still talking? It's too tiring. The maid suddenly realized. Su Qingni revealed some of her true nature, and was not afraid of the suspicion of people around her, because the original owner was a two-faced person. Inside, she is a female man and quite unruly, but she always likes to pretend to be a lady from a noble family. Except for her personal maid and her biological mother, even her biological grandmother and biological father did not know the true face of the original owner. The original owner was of noble birth. Her grandmother was a princess of the royal family. When she was young, she took care of the emperor and took the then young emperor to her side to raise him with her son. Therefore, their family had a very good relationship with the emperor. Her father had become a provincial governor before he was 40 years old. The original owner's mother was also from a famous family. She and her father were childhood sweethearts, so the couple had a very good relationship, so good that they only had each other, no concubines or concubines. The original owner's mother gave birth to the original owner in the first year of her marriage, and became pregnant again in the second year. Because the interval between pregnancies was too short, it was very harmful to her body, so she lost her fertility after giving birth to the second child. However, this time, the original owner's mother, Mrs. Su, still gave birth to a daughter. Without a son, her husband couldn't have only her as a woman. Even if her husband still loved her, he would definitely find a concubine for the sake of his son. And her princess mother-in-law would immediately select someone to send to her husband. Mrs. Su didn't want other women to share her husband, so she conspired with her trusted nanny and announced to the public that she had given birth to a son. After that, Madame Su and Nanny Zhang took over the care of the second child. To outsiders, this meant that the lady loved the young master very much and took care of him personally. Even Lord Su and Princess Xiaohu felt that Madame Su attached too much importance to her son. The original owner, who was still young at the time, was jealous because of this. She felt that her mother liked her younger brother more than her, so she always made trouble for her younger brother. Her younger brother was the treasure of the whole family. He was spoiled into a little bully, so naturally he would confront the original owner, the elder sister. The two sisters and younger brothers have been competing with each other since they were young, and they are used to fighting and making trouble. The original body looked down on the younger brother for being rude, liking martial arts but not studying, running outside all day, and being a dandy. The younger brother Su Qingfang looked down on the original body for being pretentious and extremely hypocritical. However, if someone else criticized any of them, they would unite and criticize that person to the point of doubting his life. Miss, the young master sent you a lot of things, saying it was an apology. The maid Chunxi reported carefully, fearing that her young lady would jump up from the bed when she heard the word young master. But Su Qingni was no longer the same person. She just looked up lazily and said lazily, put those things away. You can take them to the pawn shop to exchange for money when you are out of money in the future. Chunxi. Okay. The young lady has evolved this time compared to before. In the past, the things sent by the young master were smashed and thrown by the young lady, which was a waste. This time, putting the things away and exchanging them for money will make the young master more angry than smashing them, right? Chunxi went out to pack the gifts, and Su Qingni practiced against the bed railing. She actually wanted to go out for a walk. This body has been lying for several days, and her bones are sore. It's time to move around. But others didn't allow her to go out, and insisted that she stay in bed to rest. Su Qingni sighed and decided to stay in bed. It was a good time to practice health-preserving exercises. This body has good aptitude, and it can practice faster than the bodies in other worlds, and it can achieve twice the result with half the effort. After staying in bed for 3 days, Su Qingni was allowed to go out, and she heard the maid come to report that someone from the Pan family came to propose marriage again. Su Qingni frowned, because the death of the original body had a lot to do with the proposal of the Pan family. The initiator of this matter was her good brother Su Qingfan. As she grew older, Su Qingfang also knew her identity as a girl. For the sake of her mother and to prevent the family from falling into the hands of the side branches, Su Qingfang had to pretend to be a man all the time, and she could not reveal her identity as a daughter in front of her father and grandmother. But girls love beauty, and when they grow up, girls also have a girlish heart, wanting to wear beautiful clothes and wanting someone to like them. When Su Qingfang went to the temple to burn incense once, she took advantage of the fact that she was staying outside, which was more convenient than staying in the mansion, so she changed into women's clothes and went out for fun. As a result, she ran into her 2 acquaintances, Pan Hongru and Zhang Boi. Pan Hongru and Zhang Boi are both sons of officials. They are in the same social circle as Su Qingfang and have a good relationship with him. The two were very surprised to see a young lady who looked very similar to Mr. Su. They went up to get to know the young lady and asked if the young lady had any relationship with the governor mansion. Su Qingfang was already flustered when she was discovered by an acquaintance in women's clothing. When she was asked about her identity, her mind was suddenly tangled, but she said that she was a lady from the governor's mansion and Mr. Su's sister. Unexpectedly, both the men fell in love with her at first sight. A few days later, Pan Hongru found a matchmaker to propose marriage. Pan Hongru was a famous talent in the city. He was young, outstanding, talented, and good-looking. The original body was very satisfied with Pan Hongru as a husband. However, after Pan Hongru saw the original body, he regretted it and said that she was not the one he liked. He wanted to marry another lady from the governor mansion. Where was the other lady in the governor mansion? The original body felt that Pan Hongru was playing a trick on him, so he ran away angrily and sadly, got caught on the rain along the way, and fell ill when he came back. Chapter 981 The female supporting character in a female disguised as a man. The original owner died of cold and depression. The Pan family didn't know that Miss Su Jian's heart had changed. Although the young lady was sick because of their own son, there was still a chance to save her. Why not marry Miss Su into the family? So the Pan couple took their son to apologize to Su Qingni and ask for marriage again. When Su Qingni heard the maid's words, she immediately changed direction and went to the front hall. The maids hurriedly followed the young lady, hoping that she would not do anything too radical, otherwise they would be punished by the lady and the princess. When Su Qingni arrived at the front hall, she just heard Lord Su say, "In this case, I will agree to this marriage." "Dad?" Su Qingni interrupted Lord Su. "Dad, my daughter will not marry." Su Qingni walked into the hall and came to the Pan family. She bowed to the Pan couple first, and then said to them, "Lord Pan and Madam Pan, your son has another love in his heart. Although that person has taken my name and ruined my reputation. But after all, she is the person that Mr. Pan likes, I will not care. I wish Mr. Pan can find the person he likes, and conclude a happy marriage with him and grow old together." Miss Su. Madam Pan wanted to speak, but Su Qingni did not give her a chance. "Madam, you don't want your son and daughter-in-law to be a pair of resentful couples, right?" Madam Pan. Madam Pan and Lord Pan looked at each other, knowing that the daughter of the governor's mansion was mad at her son and would never marry their son again. Su Qingni she was not angry, really not angry. Su Qingni turned to Lord Su again and said, "Dad, my daughter won't marry. If you promise her marriage, the worst that can happen is that she will get sick again, and this time she won't wake up again." Lord Su remembered that his daughter had a high fever and almost died, and he couldn't help but feel distressed, and his dissatisfaction with Pan Hongru rose again. Looking at Pan Hongru, who was reluctant to be suppressed by his parents, and then looking at his daughter, who was also full of rejection, Lord Su swallowed the words of agreeing to the marriage and said to Pan's parents, "Since the two little ones don't want to, then let's not talk about this marriage." The Pan couple sighed, disappointed, but there was nothing they could do. Originally, they heard that their son liked the daughter of the governor's mansion and wanted to marry her, and they were happy, and actively helped their son find a matchmaker to propose marriage. As a result, this proposal turned into humiliation to Miss Su. If they were Miss Su, they would not be willing to marry their son. Miss Su can't be blamed for this matter. After all, It was their son who embarrassed Miss Su, which was equivalent to humiliating the young lady at her door. Can their son be blamed? Their son is also innocent. If you want to blame someone, blame the woman who used the name of Miss Su to deceive their son. Humph, they would never allow this woman to marry into their family. The Pan couple was furious. They had no face to stay in the governor mansion, so they left with their son and the matchmaker in disgrace. After the Pan family left, Lord Su hurriedly asked Su Qingni with concern, "How is your health? Are you angry?" Su Qingni hurriedly shook her head. "Don't worry, Dad, my daughter's health has improved a lot. Her father is really good. He respects his mother, respects his wife, and cares for and dotes on his children. Even if the original body was a daughter, he still dotes on her. He treats her and Su Qingfang equally, and even dotes on his daughter more." In Lord Su's view, if his son wants to inherit the family business, he must teach him strictly. If his daughter wants to marry and go to another family to suffer, he must naturally dote on her more when she is at home, so that his daughter can live a comfortable life for more than 10 years. "Dad, do you have anything else to do? If you don't have anything to do, let's go to find mother together." Su Qingni invited Lord Su with a smile. Lord Su thought that there was nothing big to deal with, just some small matters, so it would be okay to deal with them slowly. So he followed Su Qingni to the courtyard where Madame Su lived. When the two arrived at Madame Su's courtyard, Madame Su was scolding Su Qingfin. Others didn't know who Miss Su Panhuangru wanted to marry, so how could Madame Su not know? Madame Su felt guilty about her youngest daughter, so she turned a blind eye when she knew that her youngest daughter secretly wore women's clothes to go out for a stroll. But she didn't expect that her youngest daughter would get into trouble just by going out like this, and was discovered by someone she knew. She had to borrow her sister's name, but it almost caused her eldest daughter to die. Even though she loved her youngest daughter and felt guilty, Madame Su gave Su Qingfang a severe lesson. Madame Su kept on lecturing her youngest daughter, and Su Qingfang listened unhappily and listlessly. At this time, Nanny Zhang came in to report that Lord Su and Su Qingni were here, and Madame Su quickly shut up, lest Lord Su and Su Qingni heard something and became suspicious. Su Qingfang felt that his savior had come, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Madame Su gave Su Qingfang a warning look, and took her to stand up and wait for Lord Su to come in. Lord Su came in and saw that his son was actually at home. He was happy and asked, "Why are you at home today? Didn't you go out to play with your friends?" Su Qingfang pouted and said, "Dad, my son has been at home all this time. Isn't my sister sick? As a younger brother, how can I go out to play so heartlessly when my sister is sick?" Lord Su was very satisfied with this answer. He felt that his son had a strong sister-brother relationship, and smiled and said, "Your sister's illness has recovered, you can go out to play without worry. It's hard for you, who loves to play and move, to not go out for so many days." Su Qingfang looked at Su Qingni, and saw that her face was indeed rosy and she looked very good, and the guilt in his heart dissipated a lot. "Seeing your sister like this, I feel relieved." Su Qingni hooked the corner of her mouth at Su Qingfin. Her little brother actually looks better than the original body, but because she has always thought that she is a boy, her behavior is no different from that of a man. This led to everyone thinking that she was too good-looking, and no one thought that she was actually a woman. Su Qingni's eyes swept around Su Qingfang's neck. Su Qingfang's clothes were all high-necked, so no one noticed that she had no Adam's apple. In fact, Su Qingfang had revealed her secrets several times in front of the original body. Once, Su Qingfang did not wear high-neck clothes because she was greedy for coolness. The original body saw Su Qingfang's smooth neck. At that time, she only thought that the little brother was still young, so he did not have an Adam's apple like his father. She never doubted her little brother and her biological mother. Madame Su asked about the Pan family's proposal of marriage. Although she was angry that Panhuangru had caused this to make her eldest daughter suffer, the initiator was her youngest daughter, and Panhuangru liked her youngest daughter. She was so angry that she felt that Panhuangru had good taste. "Panhuangru is a good young man. My younger daughter cannot marry him, but it is not bad to let my older daughter marry him." Chapter 982 The female supporting character in a woman disguised as a man. Lord Su snorted coldly after hearing what Madame Su said. "Panhuangru almost killed our daughter, how could I marry Qingni to him? I refused." "What?" Madame Su was angry. "You actually refused? Panhuangru is such an outstanding young man, since you refuse? Can you find a better son-in-law than him?" Madame Su stretched out her dragon claw hand to pinch the soft flesh on Lord Su's waist. The action was smooth and flowing, which showed that she was very experienced. Lord Su gasped in pain, but he didn't dare to avoid it. He looked so cold. Su Qingni twitched her lips and spoke for Lord Su. Mother, don't blame father. I was the one who asked father to reject this marriage. You refuse. Madame Su let go of her husband's hand and looked at Su Qingni. Don't you like Pan Huangru? Aren't you very satisfied with him as your husband? Su Qingni snorted. Mother, he doesn't like me and he almost killed me. How could I be willing to marry him? But Pan Huangru didn't mean it, and he is really outstanding. Madame Su spoke for Pan Huangru and glared at her younger son. It was all her fault. Mother, do you know something? Do you know who the Miss Su that Pan Huangru mentioned is? Su Qingni didn't want to listen to Madame Su's advice on how good Pan Huangru was, so she asked this question out of the blue. Madame Su's voice stopped abruptly, a trace of unnaturalness flashed across her face, and she coughed and said, How do I know who that woman is? I just think Pan Huangru is so outstanding, it's a pity for you not to marry him, and you won't be able to find such an outstanding man in the future. Su Qingni chuckled and said, Mom, you are exaggerating. There are so many men in this world, and many of them are outstanding. Why do you mean that if I don't marry Pan Huangru, I won't be able to get married? Su Qingni saw what Madame Su was thinking, so she spoke up to help the original owner to say this to Madame Su. Why should the eldest daughter help take over the mess caused by the younger daughter? If Su Qingfang's true identity is exposed in the future, and Pan Huangru knows that the person he loves has become his wife's sister, how will he treat his wife? Madame Su's face froze, and she said, How did you misinterpret my meaning, girl? Forget it, if you don't want to get married, then don't get married. Su Qingni's eyes flashed. Since Madame Su wanted a son so much, let her give birth to a son. Anyway, Madame Su is not particularly old. When she really gives birth to a son, Su Qingfang can be a daughter again. I think she will be very happy. Su Qingni decided to list a recipe for pregnancy preparation for Madame Su and Lord Su later, so that Madame Su can get pregnant as soon as possible. In this way, Madame Su will not have the energy to pay attention to her marriage for at least 2 or 3 years. She felt that she could see Taiyai in this world, but she didn't know when she could see him. During this period, she would not enter into a marriage contract with other men. Well, sister. The lotus in Xiangxiang Temple is in full bloom. Do you want to go and see it together? Su Qingfang invited Su Qingni unnaturally, with embarrassment and flattery in his tone. Su Qingni glanced at her lightly and agreed, okay. The next day, Su Qingni followed Su Qingfang out. Su Qingfang rode in front with a sad face. She actually didn't want to go out with a woman, it was so troublesome. But now she was in the wrong, and in order to please her sister, she had to endure it. Halfway through the journey, Su Qingfang met an acquaintance. Brother Su, where are you going? Jiang Boi rode over with a look of surprise on his face and greeted Su Qingfang. Brother Jiang. Su Qingfang was very happy to meet Jiang Boi. Their family came here with their father, the governor, and they were unfamiliar with the place. Thanks to Jiang Boi's help, Su Qingfang got to know many people and became familiar with the area around the city. Jiang Boi is Su Qingfang's best friend, and Pan Huangru is strictly speaking Jiang Boi's friend. Later, he was introduced to Su Qingfang by Jiang Boi and became Su Qingfang's friend. In the whole land, Su Qingfang, Jiang Boi and Pan Huangru played well, but of the two, Jiang Boi and Su Qingfang had a better relationship. My sister and I went to Xiangxiang Temple to burn incense, and by the way, we relaxed and admired the lotus there. Jiang Boi nodded knowingly. He already knew that Pan Huangru went to the governor's mansion to propose marriage and ended up getting upset. At first, when he heard Pan Huangru's proposal, Jiang Boi was still very angry and felt that Pan Huangru was not good enough. Obviously, the two of them liked the girl together, and they clearly agreed to compete fairly, but Pan Huangru actually made a move without telling him. Fortunately, he found the wrong person. Jiang Boi's eyes swept over Su Qingfang's face and neck, his eyes flashed, and his smile became brighter. It just so happens that I have nothing to do, so I'll go with you. Okay. Su Qingfang agreed happily. He didn't want to keep playing with girls. He had a friend, and she just happened to be with her friend, so he let his sister play by herself to avoid embarrassment for both of them. After all, from childhood to adulthood, the two sisters and brothers could not play together, and they would quarrel after being together for a long time. Su Qingni saw the interaction between the two through the carriage window. This Jiang boy is a smart man, at least smarter than Pan Hongru. Jiang boy already suspected that Su Qingfang was a girl. I wonder if the two of them will become a couple in the future? Su Qingni saw Su Qingfang's nervous look and felt that Jiang boy was a little pitiful. When they arrived at Xiangxiang Temple, Su Qingfang separated from Su Qingni. He pulled Jiang boy out of the temple and ran away to play crazy. Su Qingni asked the servants to give the temple 200 taels of silver as incense money, and then went to the pond to see the lotus. Sitting by the lotus pond, Su Qingni ate snacks and drank tea to kill time. It is better to be a village girl than a lady from a rich family. At least a village girl is free. The Su family in this world treats her very well, and she can't just pat her butt and leave. Oh, it's really troublesome. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. A man ran over shouting, and a group of monks were chasing behind him. The maids hurried to protect Su Qingni. The person being chased was not rude. Seeing such a group of women, he should be the ladies of a rich family, so he didn't rush towards them. He turned in another direction and rushed to the other side. The monks chased him away. Su Qingni and the maids were very surprised. What did the man do to make the kind monks angry and chase him? Qiu Xiang, who was more gossipy, ran to find out the news, and ran back after a while to share the gossip with everyone. The temple wanted to repair some halls and statues, so they invited a master craftsman. This man followed the master craftsman and did some odd jobs to make a living. As a result, he took advantage of the master craftsman's rest and actually painted the statues himself. He also painted them at will according to his own wishes, making a good statue messy, which is a complete insult to the Buddha. Chapter 983 The female supporting character in a female disguise as a man. No wonder the monks are so angry. The monks won't beat this man to death, will they? How could that be? Monks are all compassionate. If they catch him, they will at most give him a lesson and make him pay money, but they won't kill him. The maids chattered like little magpies. Su Qingni listened to the gossip and looked in the direction where the man ran. At the first glance just now, Su Qingni saw the man and felt that the man's eyebrows and eyes were somewhat familiar, as if he was somewhat similar to someone she knew. Just when she was wondering who that similar person was, she saw the monks coming back. The monks had regained their usual amiability, and the leading monk was holding a purse in his hand. It was exquisitely made and it didn't seem to be given by any family. After the monks left, about half a cup of tea later, 3 people came from that direction. One of them was the part-time worker, and the other 2 were actually Su Qingfang and Jiang Boyi. Su Qingfang excitedly pulled the part-time worker and said something, while the part-time worker had a perfunctory look on his face. If Su Qingfang hadn't helped him and used money to send those monks away, this man would have left without giving Su Qingfang face, right? When Su Qingni saw these 3 people, she immediately knew who the man looked like. Doesn't he look like Jiang Boyi? The 2 people's eyebrows and eyes are very similar, and they look like brothers. However, Jiang Boyi is the son of the governor's family, and that man is just a poor gangster, so how can they be brothers? But I have never heard of the governor's family losing a child. So it's just fate that they look alike? I think many people would think so, but Su Qingni doesn't think so. She always feels that there is a lot of drama. Seeing how attentive her brother is to that man, Su Qingni thinks this will be a big pot of drama. Sister. Su Qingfang and the other 2 have walked in front of Su Qingni. Jiang Boyi knew the original body, and when he saw the original body, he stepped forward to greet him, and his manners and etiquette were very good. Su Qingfang pulled the man to introduce to Su Qingni. Sister, this man is my benefactor, his name is Ren Chengfu. Benefactor. Su Qingni was puzzled. Where did the benefactor come from? Why don't I know? Well, it was many years ago. Su Qingfang said, when I was 10 years old, I skipped classes and went out to play, and ended up falling into the river. Well, although I could swim, wasn't it because the water was too cold? My legs cramped and I almost drowned. It was Ran Chengfu who found me and jumped into the water to save me. I didn't thank him properly at the time, and when I wanted to thank him, he was gone. We met again today, and I just learned that he moved to Luochang with his adoptive father. Su Qingfang said excitedly, almost dancing with joy. Ran Chengfu rolled his eyes at the side. Looking at his performance, he actually looked down on Su Qingfang and Su Qingni. After all, how could he, a gangster with no money, have the confidence to look down on them? Su Qingni smiled politely at Ran Chengfu. Others looked down on them, and she was too lazy to try to please others with her passionate love like Su Qingni. Su Qingni's lack of enthusiasm made Ran Chengfu even more unhappy. He just turned his sleeves and left. Su Qingfang hurriedly chased after him. And Jiang Boi chased after Su Qingfang. One chasing another, tisk, there's something interesting to watch. After Su Qingfang left after chasing Ran Chengfu, he never returned. It was impossible for Su Qingni to wait for him in the temple, so she took people back to the city directly. The carriage was driving on the street. Su Qingni admired the scenery outside through the window of the carriage. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed and a smile appeared on the corners of her mouth. "Stop the car!" Su Qingni shouted. The servant quickly stopped the car. Su Qingni got off the carriage and walked towards a bookstore. This bookstore is not small. In addition to selling books, it also sells pens, ink, paper and inkstones. However, there are not many people inside. After all, not many people can afford these. Su Qingni easily found the person she was looking for among the few customers. Looking down at her beautiful clothes, touching her neat hairstyle and beautiful jewelry, Su Qingni raised the most beautiful smile at the corner of her mouth and walked towards the man. Seeing that person's hand reaching out to a book on the bookshelf, Su Qingni immediately stretched out her hand. So the two hands touched each other. "I'm sorry." The man took back his hand and said to the person next to him. He turned his gaze and saw the appearance of the person next to him, and his eyes flashed with surprise. "Miss, I'm sorry, I offended you." The man apologized to Su Qingni. "It's okay, do you want this book? I'll give it to you." Su Qingni smiled beautifully. No, Miss likes it. Miss, please go first." The man hurriedly said. Su Qingni naturally gave way. The two of them gave way to each other, and finally looked at each other and smiled. Su Qingni picked up the book and handed it to the man, who took it with a smile. In this way, the two met. Su Qingni knew the man's name, Jiang Baden. He is Jiang Boi's younger brother, with the same father but different mothers. Lord Jiang has no legitimate son, only two illegitimate sons, Jiang Boi and Jiang Baden, so he raised them as legitimate sons. Both sons are outstanding, but the eldest son Jiang Boi focuses on martial arts, while the younger son Jiang Baden prefers literature. Jiang Baden naturally also knew Su Qingni's identity, the daughter of the governor mansion. Jiang Baden's heart was burning, thinking about going home to find his biological father to propose marriage to the governor mansion. He felt that he had found his other half, his destined wife. No wonder he didn't like women approaching him, and even refused to accept the maid's initiative to climb into bed. It turned out that he wanted to wait for his destined other half with a clean body and mind. The two of them said goodbye happily, went home happily, and each went to find their own father. "Dad, I want to get married," Su Qingni said to Lord Su. Lord Su stared at his precious daughter helplessly. Why did this girl change her mind so quickly? "Daughter, you rejected a marriage yesterday and said you didn't want to get married so early." "That's because I don't like Pan Hongru. Now I've met someone I like, so of course I have to grab him quickly." From the tone of your voice, it's like you're robbing a commoner. "Daughter, you're not attracted to some commoner boy, are you?" Lord Su frowned and said, "You are the governor's daughter, you are of noble status, those poor boys are not worthy of you." Lord Su would not look down on the poor, but he was afraid that his daughter would suffer if she married a poor man. Even if he could give his daughter a rich dowry, the two grew up in different circles, and their knowledge and experience were different, so it was difficult for them to have common topics. It was wrong to choose a husband only by his face, and as an old father, he must let his daughter understand. Su Qingni smiled and said, "Dad, don't worry, my daughter is not interested in the poor boy. She is interested in Jiang Baden, the second son of the governor's family." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 984. The female supporting character in a woman disguised as a man. The governor was the governor's right-hand man. Lord Su also knew about the two sons of Lord Jiwang's family and knew how good they were. Hearing that his daughter had taken a fancy to the second son of the Jiang family, Lord Su was satisfied and felt that his daughter had good taste. But he was still a little worried. "Daughter, does the second son of the Jiang family like you? What if the second son of the Jiang family didn't like his daughter and embarrassed his daughter like Pan Hongru?" Then his daughter would suffer another blow. What if he got sick again? Don't worry, Dad, I had a great chat with the second son of Jiang. We told each other our names. The second son of Jiang remembered my name and wouldn't make the mistake. Su Qingni said. That's good, then I'll wait for the Jiang family to come and propose marriage. On the third day, the Jiang family really came with a matchmaker. Mrs. Su was very surprised. She thought that after the Pan family came to propose marriage, her daughter's reputation would be affected to a certain extent, and no one would come to propose marriage so soon. Unexpectedly, there was, and the candidate was no worse than Pan Hongru. Madame Su was so happy that she agreed to the marriage immediately. She was afraid that her eldest daughter would refuse again. Su Qingni and Lord Su stood aside silently, and everything was up to their mother Madame. The marriage contract was concluded, but Su Qingni still had to wait for a long time to marry Jiang Baodan. It takes time to go through the 3 books and 6 ceremonies, to prepare the dowry, and to embroider the wedding dress. The most important thing is that the original grandmother, Princess Zhaohua, is still in the capital, and people need to come to Luochang before the wedding can be held. It's impossible for the granddaughter to get married without the grandmother, right? Su Qingni stayed in her yard obediently to embroider the wedding dress, waiting for the wedding to come. The original body always claimed to be a lady, so the original body learned all the skills of a lady. Piano, chess, calligraphy, painting, female cooking, although not proficient. During the days when Su Qingni was embroidering the wedding dress, Su Qingfang was not quiet, running out every day, and it was said that he was chasing her savior and wanted to change him. Ran Chengfu is a gangster who eats and waits for death all day long without any great pursuit. Su Qingfang thinks this is not okay. She wants to help Ran Chengfu to make progress and achieve something in his career. Su Qingfang chased after Ran Chengfu and forced him to work hard, and forced him to study and practice martial arts. Ran Chengfu was forced into a corner by Su Qingfen. He would hide when he saw Su Qingfen. If he couldn't hide, he would say all kinds of bad words to Su Qingfen, trying to scold Su Qingfang away. But Su Qingfang was like a masochist in front of Ran Chengfu. No matter how Ran Chengfu scolded her, she would not bear it and would not leave. In the end, Ran Chengfu had no choice but to accept the fact that there was such a person who controlled him around him in a depressed manner, and he changed unconsciously. Miss, the lady fainted. The maid ran into Su Qingni's yard shouting. Su Qingni put down the needle and thread in her hand, took Chungxi and Qiuxiang out, and went to Madame Su's yard. She didn't worry at all, and calculated the days. Is Madame Su pregnant? Sure enough, the doctor was invited into the mansion not long after, and after taking Madame Su's pulse, he congratulated Madame Su and Lord Su. Both of them were stunned. Especially Madame Su. Didn't she hurt her body after giving birth to her little daughter, and she could never have children in this life? Otherwise, she would not raise her little daughter as a son. Su Qingni smiled and congratulated Lord Su and Madame Su, hiding her merits and fame. In addition to preparing health-preserving diet recipes for Lord Su and Madame Su, she also sneaked into their room at night and injected the health-preserving internal force she cultivated into Madame Su's body to help her repair her body. That's why Madame Su was able to get pregnant. Madame Su touched her belly with expectation. She has another child. How many children would it be if it was a son this time? Then the little daughter would not have to pretend to be a man anymore. She could wear the women's clothes she liked, and find a man she liked to marry. She didn't have to worry about her husband and mother-in-law discovering the identity of her little daughter and blaming her, and she didn't have to worry about her husband taking other women. Madame Su felt relieved and was full of expectations for her belly and the child inside. Lord Su was also very happy. After all, he still had few children. The ancients emphasized that more children meant more blessings. Lord Su also liked children, but because he respected and loved his wife more, he would not look for other women to help him have children. The whole Su mansion was in a festive mood. Lord Su was so happy that he rewarded the servants in the mansion with 3 months' monthly salary, and Mrs. Su rewarded them with another 3 months' monthly salary. This is equivalent to everyone having an extra half-year's monthly salary. How could they not be happy? After Su Qingfang helped Princess Zhaohua into the house, he felt very strange. What happy event happened in the mansion? Could it be that your father and mother have found your future wife for you? Princess Zhaohua said jokingly. The ancients paid more attention to male offspring, so Princess Zhaohua also loved Su Qingfeng, the grandson, the most. After arriving in Luocheng, She let Su Qingfang accompany her most of the time, which made Su Qingfang have less time to find Ran Chengfu. Su Qingfang was depressed because of this, but Ran Chengfu was very happy and felt relieved. How is it possible? Su Qingfang's heart skipped a beat. She is a girl. How could her mother let her marry when she knew her identity? Even if her father had taken a fancy to a girl from a certain family and wanted to marry that family, her mother would stop him. But getting married? Su Qingfang frowned her beautiful eyebrows. If she always dressed as a man, could she still get married? She definitely could not even think about getting married. Would she have to marry a wife in the end? But what about the wedding night? She couldn't possibly have sex with a woman, could she? She had the will but not the ability. What if she simply let the men pretend to be girls and let them be her wives? Ran Chengfu's face appeared in Su Qingfang's mind. Looking closely, that face was quite pretty. If she dressed as a woman, no one should be able to see the flaws, right? After all, she had been dressed as a man for so many years and no one had seen the flaws, haha, so she had a lot of experience and could pass it on to Ran Chengfu. The question was, would Ran Chengfu be willing to marry her in women's clothing? Su Qingfang's face suddenly turned red, and Princess Xiaohu saw coke. Does your child have a lover? No way. Su Qingfang hastily denied it, but he couldn't get rid of Ran Chengfu's face in his mind. Congratulations, Princess, congratulations, Master. The housekeeper stepped forward cheerfully and explained the confusion of the two. The madam is pregnant. What? Princess Xiaohu and Su Qingfang said in unison. Princess Xiaohu is pleasantly surprised. Her wife was pregnant again. She was going to have another grandson or granddaughter. Su Qingfang was shocked but also worried. Her mother was not young anymore. Would it be dangerous if she gave birth? No, she would go to the doctor later and ask about her mother's physical condition and how to help her give birth smoothly. She hoped that her mother could give birth to a little brother. Then she should be able to return to wearing women's clothes, right? Chapter 985 The female supporting character in male disguise. Except for Su Qingfang, who was a little worried, the Su family was very happy that Madame Su was pregnant again. Madame Su began to take care of her pregnancy, and Princess Xiaohu took over all the preparations for Su Qingni's wedding. Although Princess Xiaohu was old, she was in good health and vigorous. She was very efficient and did everything well for the wedding. 2 months later, Su Qingni got on the bridal sedan and married Zhang Baodan. Because Su Qingni had a high status, her father-in-law and nominal mother-in-law in this life had to give her some face. Zhang Baodan's aunt had died, and Su Qingni had no proper mother-in-law. Madame Zhang was not very willing to see the illegitimate son and his wife hanging around in front of her, so Su Qingni lived as comfortably in the Zhang family as she did in the Su family. Su Qingni also agreed with Zhang Baodan that after a year, Zhang Baodan would go out to study and take Su Qingni with him. Su Qingni lived a comfortable life here, but the Su family was in chaos. Su Qingfang's identity as a woman was finally discovered by Lord Su and Princess Xiaohu. Su Qingfang found that he fell in love with Ran Chengfu, but Ran Chengfu had someone else he liked. He had a childhood sweetheart named Lujin, whose family conditions were very poor. A year ago, in order to treat Lujin's father's illness, she entered a wealthy family as a maid. A few days ago, Ran Chengfu learned from Lujin's biological father that Lujin was going to be a concubine of the young master of the family and a maidservant. Lujin's father looked down on Ran Chengfu, a gangster who had accomplished nothing and was as poor as death. He was very happy to know that his daughter was going to be a maidservant for a noble. Now she is a maidservant, and after giving birth to a child, she can become a concubine and a master. It is much better than marrying a poor boy. Lujin's father boasted to Ran Chengfu about this news. Ran Chengfu didn't believe this news and had to meet Lujin and ask her in person whether she had abandoned their relationship and wanted to be a concubine for a noble. However, he could not just enter a rich family whenever he wanted, nor could he just see the maid whenever he wanted. Ran Chengfu gave money to the gatekeeper and asked him to pass on the message, but Lujin herself did not come out to see Ran Chengfu. Ran Chengfu had no choice but to try to sneak into that family. It happened that the family wanted to buy some maids, so Ran Chengfu disguised himself as a woman and sneaked in. Su Qingfang was worried about Ran Chengfu, so he also dressed as a woman and sneaked in. The result was naturally not good. Ran Chengfu met Lujin and heard from her own mouth that Lujin yearned for a rich life and despised Ran Chengfu for not being able to let Lujin live a rich life. Ran Chengfu was very hurt and ran away in grief and anger. As a result, The servants of this family were alarmed, and they wanted to catch Ran Chengfu, an outsider who was running around in the mansion. Su Qingfang protected Ran Chengfu and ran out of that family. They made a mess of other people's homes, and Su Qingfang also injured several servants of the family with his martial arts. Fortunately, they finally ran out and got rid of the people chasing them, but unfortunately, they met Lord Su, who saw Su Qingfang in women's clothing. Lord Su was shocked and angry and took Su Qingfang back to the Su family. He had not thought that Su Qingfang was a girl at that time. He just thought that Su Qingfang was fooling around and dressed as a woman. But when Mrs. Su saw Lord Su taking Su Qingfang home in women's clothing in a rage, she thought that Su Qingfang's true identity was exposed, and her words completely exposed Su Qingfang's female body. Lord Su and Princess Xiaohu were very angry, and Su Qingni was invited back to the Su family to persuade and comfort them. In the end, the two people also thought it over and accepted the fact that Su Qingfang was a girl. This was mainly due to Mrs. Su being pregnant now, and the doctor said it was a boy. The two people accepted the fact that their grandson's son, who had been in love for 18 years, was actually a girl. If Mrs. Su was not pregnant, or was still pregnant with a boy, at this time, the princess would definitely have been looking for a concubine for her son. Mrs. Su did something wrong and had no position to object at all. Su Qingni is the great contributor to the harmony of the Su family. Jiang Boi's eyes lit up when Su Qingfang changed back into women's clothes. He had long suspected that Su Qingfang was a girl, and now that it was confirmed, he thought he could pursue Su Qingfang openly. Unfortunately, Su Qingfang only regarded him as a good friend and a good brother, and had no feelings for him. Su Qingfang liked Ran Chengfu. But Ran Chengfu didn't like Su Qingfang. The main reason was that Ran Chengfu had a knot in his heart. He had a knot against rich and powerful people and hated rich and powerful people. Therefore, Ran Chengfu knew that Su Qingfang was very good to him, better than anyone else, but he had a bad attitude towards Su Qingfang. Su Qingfang didn't know this at first, but Ran Chengfu's good brother Gu Pinggan couldn't stand it anymore, so he told Su Qingfang about Ran Chengfu's past experiences and knots, and asked Su Qingfang not to come to Ran Chengfu again, and not to wrong himself again. It turned out that Ran Chengfu's father's family was also a small asset, but not long after Ran Chengfu was born, the Ran family lost all their property due to business failure. Ran Chengfu's father couldn't bear the blow and committed suicide. His biological mother abandoned the young Ran Chengfu and ran away. It is said that she became a concubine of an official and went to enjoy her life. Ran Chengfu was raised by his grandparents until he was 8 years old. The two old people suffered for many years and their bodies could not support them, so they left. Ran Chengfu became an orphan without a father, a mother, or relatives. He had to rely on himself to support himself by stealing and abducting outside. His life was very hard. It was not until he met his adoptive father that Ran Chengfu's life became a little better. Because of these miserable experiences, because his grandparents often complained about his mother in his ears when he was a child, Ran Chengfu hated his biological mother and the rich and powerful people. He believed that it was the rich and powerful people who took away his mother that made his life so miserable. Gu Pinggan told Su Qingfang this because he wanted Su Qingfang to give up and not come to Ran Chengfu again. But after listening to Ran Chengfu's past experiences, Su Qingfang felt more pity for Ran Chengfu. Not only did he not retreat and leave, but he became more entangled with Ran Chengfu's identity, treated Ran Chengfu better, and wanted to use his sincerity to untie Ran Chengfu's knot. Gu Pinggan, who had received Jiang Boi's money, had no choice but to return the money to Jiang Boi. Jiang Boi couldn't understand why he, an excellent official son who was both civil and military, was not as good as a small gangster. Jiang Boi couldn't help but turn evil in anger and began to secretly ask people to deal with Ran Chengfu. However, his actions promoted the relationship between Ran Chengfu and Su Qingfang. A girl can save and protect herself at the cost of her life, and any man will be moved. Even though Ran Chengfu doesn't like powerful people, Su Qingfang's sincerity still moved him and softened him. The hearts of the two young people gradually began to get closer, and Ran Chengfu fell in love with Su Qingfang. Jiang Boi is worthy of being an important male supporting role, and he is a great assist for the male and female protagonists. Chapter 986 The female supporting character in male disguise. When Su Qingni got the news, Su Qingfang had already run away from home. It turned out that Lord Su and Madame Su knew that Su Qingfang liked a gangster, and they were very angry. They locked Su Qingfang up and had Ran Chengfu driven away. Su Qingfang got the news, ran away from home, and went to find Ren Chengfu. And Jiang Bui followed her. This incident made Lord Su, Madame Su, and Princess Xiaohu very angry. Even Lord Jiang had some complaints about Su Qingni. He was unhappy that she had seduced his son's heart but abandoned her like a worn-out shoe, causing his son to run away from home for her. Because of his anger, Lord Jiang's attitude towards Su Qingni became much colder. Su Qingni didn't care, but Jiang Baden felt pity for Su Qingni and treated her better. Su Qingni felt that Lord Jiang could be even colder to her. The governor's office and the provincial government office looked for someone together, but they couldn't find it for a while. Su Qingni and Jiang Baden were implicated, and their original travel plan had to be postponed. 3 months had passed since the search, and finally Su Qingni and Jiang Bui were found. Both were injured, and Su Qingni was injured in the head and lost his memory. During the period of recuperation, Jiang Bui came to visit Su Qingni every day, taking care of her and accompanying her to relieve her anxiety about losing her memory. Su Qingni became more and more dependent on Jiang Bui, and the two of them got along well. Jiang Bui was very happy and asked Lord Jiang to come to the Su family to propose marriage. Lord Su and Mrs. Su were also very satisfied with this future son-in-law, and immediately agreed to the marriage, and the two families began to prepare for the wedding in full swing. The one who prepared the wedding on the Jiang family side was Jiang Bui's biological mother. Mrs. Jiang didn't want to work hard for her illegitimate son, so she handed everything over to Jiang Bui's biological mother. Jiang Bui's biological mother was in her early 40s, but she was very well maintained. She looked only about 30 years old and still had charm. She was very beautiful and was the best looking of Lord Jiang's wives and concubines, so she was very favored by Lord Jiang. Love for the house and the dog. Of the two illegitimate sons, Lord Jiang also prefers Jiang Bui a little bit. In order to prepare the wedding for her own son, Aunt Zhao did her best, and everything had to be the best and most expensive. The wedding was prepared exquisitely and grandly, which was 3 times better than when Jiang Baden and Su Qingni got married. It was inevitable that some servants would compare the two weddings, and many gossips spread in the Jiang family. Things like Lord really values the eldest young master more, although the second young lady is the eldest lady of the governor mansion. The governor and Princess Xiaohu like the second young lady more. The eldest young master and his wife are the head of the Jiang family in the end. These words were heard by Su Qingni and Jiang Baden. Jiang Baden was very angry. He was not for himself, but for Su Qingni, and felt that Su Qingni was wronged. Su Qingni took Jiang Baden's hand and smiled. Do you want to inherit the Jiang family in the future? Jiang Baden shook his head. I have never thought about it. Jiang Bui is the eldest son. The Jiang family has no legitimate son, so naturally the eldest son will inherit. Jiang Baden has seen clearly since he was a child, and he has never thought of competing with Jiang Bui. Therefore, the relationship between them is much more harmonious than that between brothers of other families. Su Qingni said, that's right, what they said is true, why should we be angry? But they said that you are not as favored as Su Qingni in the Su family. What they said is true. Su Qingni said, people's hearts are biased. Su Qingni has been a man for 18 years. In the first 18 years, she was the only male in the Su family. Naturally, grandma and dad valued her more. This valuing has become a habit. Even if they know that she is a girl, grandma and dad still value her. What's more, they pity Su Qingni for pretending to be a man for 18 years and feel guilty about her. And I have been a happy young lady who has been smooth sailing for the past 20 years, and I am married to you, a son-in-law. Compared with Su Qingni, I seem much happier. They naturally pity Su Qingni more and are biased towards Su Qingni. You can't say that. Although Su Qingni has been pretending to be a man for 18 years, he has not suffered, and he lives a freer and happier life than you, a young lady. Apart from anything else, Su Qingni ran away from home this time. Isn't it because he was spoiled by them for 18 years? What do they have to feel guilty about? Jiang Baden stood up for Su Qingni. Su Qingni patted the back of Jiang Baden's hand to comfort her. It's okay, I have you, I don't care about anything else. Jiang Baden blushed, and his heart was sweet. Jiang Baden said, the rumors in the mansion can't come out of thin air. I think it must be the work of Aunt Zhao. She has always believed that I want to compete with her son, so she wants to use this incident to suppress us and show Jiang Bui's status in the Jiang family. Jiang Baden has a good relationship with Jiang Bui, but he doesn't like Jiang Bui's mother very much. This woman is very calculating and has a low vision. She often does things that make people feel disgusted. If Jiang Boi himself is not a good person, Jiang Baden will not be in harmony with Jiang Boi. Su Qingni nodded and said, I have a feeling that something unexpected will happen at this wedding. Aunt Zhao is so high profile this time, and it is very likely that she will end up losing more than she gains. Huh? Jiang Baden was puzzled. Su Qingni smiled and said, anyway, we can just watch the show from the side. You know, Ran Chengfu has never appeared. Su Qingni feels that this person will appear, and will appear at the most critical moment. Just like in many TV dramas, the male protagonist will appear when the female protagonist marries someone else and take the female protagonist away. The joke of Su Qingfang's amnesia has been used many times in TV dramas. It is possible that Ran Chengfu has appeared and Su Qingfang has recovered his memory. I just don't know if this wedding will continue. The two of them waited for the arrival of the wedding leisurely with the mood of watching a show. This wedding was very grand, more than half the grandness of Su Qingni and Jiang Baden's wedding. It also makes people feel that the Jiang family values the eldest son and the Su family values the youngest daughter. Mrs. Su has given birth to a child and has finished her confinement. She attended the wedding with Lord Su and Princess Xiaohu. Although she already had a grandson, the 18 years of doting was not fake. Princess Xiaohu doted on Su Qingfang more than the newborn grandson. When Su Qingni got married, Princess Xiaohu only showed up when Su Qingni bid farewell to her relatives. But for Su Qingfang's wedding, Princess Xiaohu even followed to the Jiang family and witnessed her favorite granddaughter's worship ceremony. First bow to heaven and earth. The two newlyweds in red bowed 3 times. Second bow to your parents. Princess Xiaohu sat next to Lord Jiang and Madame Jiang, happily waiting for the newlyweds to bow. Aunt Zhao, as the groom's biological mother, also attended her son's wedding, but she had no seat and could only stand behind Madame Jiang. Chapter 987 The female supporting character in male disguise. Bow to your parents. The newlyweds were about to bow when they heard a loud shout, wait! Everyone was surprised and looked in the direction of the voice. Even the bride slightly lifted her veil and turned to look. When they saw the person who made the sound, the pupils of the bride and groom shrank sharply. The groom recognized who the person was. The bride felt that the person was very familiar, so familiar that her mind seemed to explode, and many images appeared in her mind. Jiang Baden had seen Ran Chengfu once and recognized him. He looked at his wife beside him and whispered, sure enough, something happened. Su Qingni smiled, let's just watch the show quietly. Ran Chengfu. Jiang Boi gritted his teeth and called out the name of the person. Ran Chengfu did not respond to him, but just stared at Su Qingfang and walked towards the bride step by step. Su Qingfang also stared at Ran Chengfu until Ran Chengfu came in front of her, and she asked, who are you? You ask who I am. Ran Chengfu was hit by this question and stared at Su Qingfang with disbelief. Su Qingfang wanted to tilt her head, but the phoenix crown on her head was too heavy, so she couldn't move it. She could only say, yes, who are you? Why do I feel that you look very familiar? Are you also an acquaintance of mine? What's your name? Why haven't I seen you before? Ran Chengfu stared at Su Qingfang's innocent and distressed expression, turned to Jiang Boi, and asked, what did you do to Qingfang? Why doesn't she recognize me? Jiang Boi didn't answer, but said angrily, Ran Chengfu, you are not welcome here, get out of here. Otherwise, I will be rude to you. Ran Chengfu was furious. Su Qingfang forgot him, which made him heartbroken. The red wedding dress on Su Qingfang deeply burned his eyes. Ran Chengfu suddenly stepped forward and grabbed Su Qingfang's waist, picked her up and ran. Everyone was stunned by his action. Jiang Boi was the first to react. He roared and rushed over, trying to snatch the bride. Ran Chengfu was holding a person, and his speed was not as fast as Jiang Boi, so he was soon caught up by Jiang Boi. There was no other way. Ran Chengfu could only put Su Qingfang down first and started fighting with Jiang Boi. Jiang Boi was both civil and military, especially in martial arts, while Ran Chengfu was just a gangster. Although he had experience in street fighting, his skills were completely incomparable to Jiang Boi, who had received systematic training. After a while, Ran Chengfu was beaten by Jiang Boi with a swollen nose and swollen face, and blood at the corner of his mouth. Su Qingfang stood aside and saw Ran Chengfu's miserable appearance, and her heart was filled with emotions such as heartache and sadness. The various pictures in her mind became clearer. She saw herself and the man lying on the ground vomiting blood in the picture. They were in every picture, some happy and some sad. Ah! Su Qingfang screamed, and her memory returned. Su Qingfang immediately rushed forward and threw herself on Ran Chengfu. Stop fighting, stop fighting. You. Both men stared at Su Qingfang. Tears flowed from Su Qingfang's eyes, and she stroked Ran Chengfu's cheek with one hand. I'm sorry, I actually forgot about you. Ran Chengfu's face was full of surprise. So you remember me now? Su Qingfang nodded. Jiang Boi was shocked and angry. He had a premonition that he had completely lost Su Qingfang. Su Qingfang helped Ran Chengfu stand up and said to Jiang Boi, Boi, I'm sorry, I can't marry you. I remembered Chengfu, and I also love him. I can't marry another man. Jiang Boi gritted his teeth. Su Qingfang, you actually regretted the engagement in the auditorium? Where do you put my face? Where do you put the face of your parents and grandmother? Su Qingfang's face was full of guilt. She looked in the direction of Lord Su and Princess Xiaohua, and saw that their faces were full of shock and anger. Her legs softened, and she knelt on the ground and kowtowed 3 times to Lord Su and Princess Xiaohua. Grandmother, father, mother, I'm sorry. But I only have Chengfu in my heart, please help me. Lord Su gritted his teeth and said, Impossible, we won't let you be with such a gangster. Su Qingfang resolutely said, if my daughter can't be with Chengfu, she would rather die. Ran Chengfu knelt down beside Su Qingfang, holding her hand and said, if you die, I won't live alone. Let's die together. Su Qingfang smiled at Ran Chengfu with tears in her eyes. Okay, let's be a pair of Mandarin ducks with the same fate, walk together on the road to the underworld, cross the Nei Bridge together, and meet in the next life. The romantic words of the two moved each other but not others. Jiang Boi was deeply stimulated by their words and rushed towards Ran Chengfu again, punching and kicking him, as if he was going to beat Ran Chengfu to death. Su Qingfang wanted to step forward to help Ran Chengfu and stop Jiang Boi, but Princess Xiaohu asked her nanny to step forward and hold Su Qingfang tightly. Almost everyone was attracted by the bride and groom and the man who ruined the wedding, and did not notice that the groom's mother changed her expression and stared at the two people fighting in disbelief. Su Qingni noticed it and secretly poked Jiang Baden with her finger, so that he could also see Aunt Zhao's reaction. Jiang Baden was puzzled. Aunt Zhao's expression is so strange. Besides worry, she seems to have some other emotions. Su Qingni thought of the various bloody TV dramas on Earth and guessed, do you think Aunt Zhao knows Ran Chengfu? Is there any relationship with Ran Chengfu? How is it possible? Jiang Baden said in disbelief, how is it impossible? Su Qingni said, do you know what Aunt Zhao did before entering the Jiang mansion? Does she have any relatives? Jiang Baden shook his head. Aunt Zhao should not have any relatives. Over the years, I haven't heard of any relatives looking for her, nor have I heard her mention anyone from her natal family. Su Qingni, so, maybe Ran Chengfu is a relative of Aunt Zhao's natal family. Maybe Ran Chengfu looks like her brother or sister, and she recognized him. Jiang Baden didn't have as big a brain as Su Qingni, and said, you think too much, right? Su Qingni rolled her eyes at Jiang Baden and said, a celebrity once said, bold assumptions, careful verification. I am making bold assumptions now. Another celebrity once said, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, it must be the truth. Huh? Jiang Baden didn't understand. Did you just say Western language? Yes. Su Qingni said, my uncle is an official of the Lifanian. I once followed him to see foreigners and learned Western language from them. What does this Western language mean? Jiang Baden was curious. Su Qingni, when all other possibilities are eliminated and only one is left, no matter how impossible it is the truth. Chapter 988, the female supporting character in male disguise. When all other possibilities are eliminated and only one is left, no matter how impossible it is the truth. Su Qingni said, I will make a bold assumption, eliminate other impossibilities, and draw a conclusion. Do you want to listen? Yes. Jiang Baden nodded. He wanted to know what the truth Su Qingni came up with was. Su Qingni, I heard some things about Ran Chengfu's life from the maid next to Su Qingfang. It is said that when Ran Chengfu was in his infancy, his biological father died, and his mother abandoned him to be a concubine of a powerful person. Ran Chengfu therefore hated powerful people very much? Jiang Baden blinked in surprise and said in a lost voice, you mean, is? Su Qingni nodded, don't you think Jiang Boi and Ran Chengfu have similar eyebrows and eyes? They look like brothers. On the contrary, you and Jiang Boi don't look alike at all, not like brothers at all. Jiang Baden took a breath and felt that this guess was too terrifying. How is this possible? Zhang Baodong said in disbelief. Su Qingni smiled. Nothing is impossible. Zhang Baodong, I think I want Jingjing. Su Qingni teased. Who is Jingjing? Are you looking for other women behind my back? Zhang Baodong. While the two were talking, Zhang Boy had knocked down Ran Chengfu and asked the servants to tie Ran Chengfu away. However, this wedding could not be held. The bride refused to cooperate and was thinking about Ran Chengfu. Zhang Boy had someone tie Su Qingfeng to the new house where they lived with a dark face. This time, Princess Xiaohu and Lord Su, who doted on their granddaughter, did not dare to speak out to plead for Su Qingfeng. They also understood that their granddaughter was wrong, and they were the ones who were in the wrong. They did not have the confidence to plead for Su Qingfeng. Princess Xiaohu and Lady Su left the Zhang family with worry and depression. They regretted it now. They regretted that they doted on Su Qingfeng too much and spoiled him. For a man who was good for nothing, they even trampled on the family's face. Lord Zhang was so angry that he went to find the young and beautiful concubine for comfort. He was originally going to find Aunt Zhao. But Aunt Zhao was absent-minded, and Lord Zhang found it boring, so he went to find another younger aunt. Madame Zhang watched a farce like an audience, and she was in a good mood and went to rest early in the morning. Zhang Boy did not enter the bridal chamber, but drank a jar of wine in the yard, and soon got drunk. Aunt Zhao took advantage of the fact that the people in the mansion were not paying attention and came to the firewood room where Ran Chengfu was imprisoned. The guards thought that Aunt Zhao wanted to vent her anger for her son, so they did not stop Aunt Zhao and put her in the firewood room. Ran Chengfu was still unconscious. Aunt Zhao walked to Ran Chengfu, stretched out her hands tremblingly, touched Ran Chengfu's cheek, then lifted Ran Chengfu's clothes and looked at Ran Chengfu's back. There was a thumb-sized red birthmark on Ran Chengfu's back. Seeing this birthmark, Aunt Zhao's tears flowed down. "Child, my child." Aunt Zhao cried softly. Her cry was very small and suppressed, but crying in Ran Chengfu's ear naturally woke Ran Chengfu up. "Who are you?" Ran Chengfu asked. "Hush." Aunt Zhao motioned Ran Chengfu to speak more quietly, and then she said, "I am an old friend of your elders. You look a lot like your father. I recognized you when I saw you. I am here to rescue you. Keep your voice down, don't let people outside hear it. You know my father? Who are you?" Ran Chengfu frowned and asked. Aunt Zhao's eyes were red. As a mother, she felt uncomfortable that her son didn't recognize her. Although she was the one who abandoned her son first, she had no choice. If she didn't enter a powerful family as a concubine, how could she have the money to pay off the debt owed by her ex-husband, and how could her parents-in-law and her son live in peace? Who knows, her son might even be sold for money. I am you." Aunt Zhao did not reveal her identity in the end, but only said, "I am your mother's best friend, and I also know your father." When Ran Chengfu heard Aunt Zhao mention his biological mother, his face darkened and he said, "I don't have a mother." What else did Aunt Zhao not understand after hearing this? Her son did not understand her painstaking efforts, so she naturally blamed herself. She sighed and said, "Don't blame your mother, she made that choice for you." Aunt Zhao told Ran Chengfu about selling herself for money. Ran Chengfu did not expect that there was such a secret, and his emotions were surging. He had been resenting his biological mother for more than 20 years, but he did not expect that he was resenting the wrong thing. His biological mother did not abandon him, but for him. Ran Chengfu was stunned. Aunt Zhao did not stay still. She quickly untied the ropes that bound Ran Chengfu's hands and feet, and whispered, "I will lead away the people guarding the door, and you take the opportunity to escape." Ran Chengfu came back to his senses, nodded, and then shook his head. "I can't leave. I still have to find Qingfeng. I want to take her away with me." Aunt Zhao did not have a good impression of Su Qingfeng at all. Her two sons were fooled by this vixen and turned against each other. Aunt Zhao hated Su Qingfeng to death. If she was not afraid that Su Qingfeng would die and the Su family would investigate, Aunt Zhao would have given Su Qingfeng a bowl of poison and poisoned her to death. But the eldest son was unwilling to escape by himself because he could not find Su Qingfeng. Aunt Zhao had no choice. She could not let the eldest son stay in the Zhang family and wait for death, right? Aunt Zhao was holding back her anger, but she had to compromise with Ran Chengfu and said, "Then after you leave the firewood room, go to the garden over there and wait for me. There is a rockery there. You hide inside the rockery. I'll come find you later and take you to see Su Qingfeng." "Okay." Ran Chengfu agreed. Aunt Zhao left the house and found a reason to send away the people guarding the firewood room. Ran Chengfu saw that there was no one guarding the door, So he quickly slipped out, ran all the way to the garden, and hid in the rockery. Not long after, Aunt Zhao came over, met Ran Chengfu, and took Ran Chengfu to Jiang Boy's yard. They arrived at Jiang Boy's yard smoothly, and both of them sighed in their hearts that this journey was too smooth, and they didn't even meet a servant. Su Qingni and Zhang Badan, who were hiding their merits and fame, continued to hide in the dark and watch the show. The two listened to the conversation between Aunt Zhao and Ran Chengfu, and confirmed that Aunt Zhao was Ran Chengfu's biological mother. Zhang Badan's impression of Aunt Zhao was better. She was a good mother. No matter for Jiang Boy or Ran Chengfu. Su Qingfang was locked in the bridal chamber and wanted to die. But because she was worried about Ran Chengfu, Su Qingfang did not commit suicide. As long as Ran Chengfu was alive, she would live, but if she was sure that Ran Chengfu is dead, she would not live alone. Su Qingfang tried every way to escape and find Ran Chengfu, but she could not escape. Chapter 989 The female supporting character in male disguise. The door of the new house was locked, and wooden bars were nailed on the windows. Even if Su Qingfang had some skills, he couldn't break the window and escape. Just when Su Qingfang was frustrated, he suddenly heard a sound at the door. Someone was unlocking the door and was about to come in. Su Qingfang thought that the person coming in would only be Jiang Boyi, so he leaned against the corner with a wooden stool in his hand to block himself. The door opened, and it was not Jiang Boyi who came in, but Ran Chengfu who came like a gust of wind. Ran Chengfu rushed over when he saw Su Qingfang. Su Qingfang also saw clearly that the person coming was Ran Chengfu. She loosened her hand and the stool fell to the ground. Ran Chengfu also rushed to her, and the two young people hugged each other tightly. Aunt Zhao felt very dazzling when she saw this scene, and she felt sorry for her youngest son. But considering that Su Qingfang was the beloved woman of her eldest son, she endured it. Who told her to be sorry for her eldest son? The two were still hugging each other, and Aunt Zhao couldn't help but speak out, "Don't hug, hurry up, leave as soon as possible, the longer you delay, the more danger you will be discovered." Ran Chengfu heard that he let go of Su Qingfang's embrace, and instead held her hand and led her out of the door. "Let's go, let's leave the Jiang family quickly." Su Qingfang saw clearly that the other person was Aunt Zhao, and she was very surprised. She lay beside Ran Chengfu's ear vigilantly and whispered, "Isn't she Jiang Boy's biological mother? How could she help us? Does she have any conspiracy? Is she plotting against us again?" Ran Chengfu was silent for a moment, and replied in a low voice, "She is my mother, a friend, don't worry, she is here to help us, and she won't let us down." Su Qingfang was still wary of Aunt Zhao, but the most important thing at this time was to escape from the Jiang family, so she suppressed her suspicion and followed Aunt Zhao and Ran Chengfu. The journey was still very smooth, and they didn't meet a single servant. They thought they were lucky, but they didn't know that the servants along the way had been knocked out and hidden earlier. They came to a remote corner gate, and luckily the gatekeeper was not there. Ran Chengfu opened the door and walked out with Su Qingfang. Aunt Zhao stood inside the door and told Ran Chengfu, "You should leave Luochang quickly and go far away. Don't let anyone find you." Ran Chengfu suddenly knelt down on the ground, kowtowed 3 times to Aunt Zhao, then stood up and took Su Qingfang away, never looking back. Aunt Zhao's tears flowed down her cheeks. He knew. Ran Chengfu knew that she was his mother. Aunt Zhao couldn't help crying out loud. Su Qingni picked her ears in the dark and said to Zhang Badan, "Aunt Zhao is pretty, but her crying is not very pleasant. It's thanks to us that they helped them deal with the people nearby, otherwise her crying would have attracted a lot of people." Zhang Badan took Su Qingni's hand and said with a smile, "Okay, the leading actors have left, the show is over, let's go back and rest." Su Qingni was obediently pulled by Zhang Badan to her yard, but she said, "I feel that this show is not over yet, and Jiang Boy will make trouble. I always feel that Aunt Zhao's identity will be exposed. I just don't know what Jiang Boy will do when he knows that he and Ran Chengfu are brothers. Will he help Ran Chengfu and Su Qingfang, or turn evil and continue to fight them? Aunt Zhao will be sad." Zhang Badan said, "Jiang Boy is very filial, and has a very good relationship with Aunt Zhao. With Aunt Zhao around, he won't do anything to Ran Chengfu." Su Qingni said, "Not necessarily. It is precisely because of Aunt Zhao that Jiang Boy will become more evil. Aunt Zhao feels guilty towards Ran Chengfu, so naturally she will help Ran Chengfu. Just like this time, didn't she help Ran Chengfu take Su Qingfang away? The woman he likes chose Ran Chengfu, and half of his own mother was taken away by Ran Chengfu. Do you think he will feel bad? Will he become evil? It's really possible. Jiang Baden sent Su Qingni back to the yard and wanted to find Jiang Boyi, but Su Qingni grabbed him and said, "It's useless for you to persuade him now. Jiang Boyi won't listen to any persuasion now. Besides, what are you going to say? Are you going to tell Jiang Boyi about the relationship between Aunt Zhao and Ran Chengfu? But he is my elder brother, and I don't want to see him decadent and blackened. Then let's talk about it after everything is exposed. By then, all the wounds will be exposed to the outside, and it will be easier to heal. Now you comfort him, but when the truth is exposed, he will still be hurt." Well, okay. Jiang Baden resisted the urge to find Jiang Boyi, but only paid attention to Jiang Boyi in secret, worried that something might happen to him. After Jiang Boyi sobered up, he found that Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu were gone, and his expression was gloomy. Jiang Boyi asked people to search the whole city for Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu. The Su family felt guilty, and they did not dare to come forward to accuse Jiang Boyi of his high-profile behavior, which made the Su family a joke for the whole city. After searching for a few days, Jiang Boyi really found the two. Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu did not leave Luocheng, but hid in Gu Pinggan's house. The reason was that Su Qingfang was reluctant to leave his grandmother and parents, and wanted to see them before leaving, and wanted to apologize to them in person. However, they did not wait for the opportunity to meet the Su family, but waited for Jiang Boyi. It was Gu Pinggan who betrayed them. Ran Chengfu did not expect that his companions from childhood would betray him. His childhood sweetheart abandoned him for a high branch, and his childhood sweetheart betrayed him for money. Ran Chengfu felt that he was a failure as a man. When Jiang Boyi and his servants rushed to find Ran Chengfu and Su Qingfeng, they were seen by Aunt Zhao. Aunt Zhao's heart skipped a beat, and she quickly followed Jiang Boyi to catch up. However, Aunt Zhao's legs were very slow, and she lost Jiang Boyi not long after leaving the house. It was only after asking all the way that she found Gu Pinggan's house. As soon as she arrived at the gate, she heard the sound of fists and feet hitting people inside. Aunt Zhao hurried into the gate and saw that Ran Chengfu had been knocked to the ground by Jiang Boyi again, with blood already flowing from his mouth. Jiang Boyi was still hitting Ran Chengfu again and again. Aunt Zhao screamed, rushed over, and lay on Ran Chengfu, shouting desperately, "Don't hide him, don't hit him. He is your elder brother, your brother. You are all my sons." Jiang Boyi's fist stopped in front of Aunt Zhao's nose. He stared at Aunt Zhao in disbelief. "Mom, what nonsense are you talking about?" "I'm not talking nonsense," Aunt Zhao said with tears. "Boyi, Chengfu is your brother, your real brother." Aunt Zhao quickly recounted the whole story of how she entered the Jiang mansion. Jiang Boyi took 3 steps back. He was hit too hard. His wife was robbed by someone, and now his own mother has become a rival in love. He felt that he was a joke. Jiang Boyi yelled and ran out. Chapter 990. The female supporting character in male disguise. Jiang Boyi never came back after he ran away. Lord Jiang was very angry and drove Aunt Zhao out of the Jiang family. Su Qingfang took Aunt Zhao to their residence, but Aunt Zhao left the next day and found a nunnery to become a nun. Because Jiang Boyi left Luocheng, Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu were no longer in danger of their lives, so they stayed temporarily. Lord Jiang could not kill Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu for the sake of the Su family. Ran Chengfu suffered internal injuries and could not move too much, so he stayed to recuperate. Su Qingfang did not see Princess Zhaohu and Lord Su, and both of them were very disappointed with her. Especially Princess Zhaohu. How much she liked Su Qingfang before, now she is so disappointed, she doesn't want to see Su Qingfang. Even if Su Qingfang kneeled outside the Su family and begged them. Only Mrs. Su was soft-hearted to meet the little daughter and took a lot of banknotes to Su Qingfang. Of course, Lord Su knew that she took the banknotes, but he just turned a blind eye. With enough money in hand, Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu lived a good life. Ran Chengfu is recovering from his injuries, but he completely cut off his relationship with his friend Gu Pinggan. Jiang Baden told Lord Jiang that he was going out to look for Jiang Boyi. Lord Jiang knew that they had a good relationship as brothers, and was even more pleased that Jiang Baden took the initiative to go out to look for Jiang Boyi, and agreed to his request to go out with his wife. So Jiang Baden went out with Su Qingni. When Jiang Boyi ran away, Su Qingni arranged for someone to follow him. If Jiang Boyi was in danger, she would help him, and she didn't need to worry about the rest. This person left a mark, and they could find Jiang Boyi by following the mark. When they found Jiang Boyi, he was in a very miserable state. A noble son of an official family has become a drunkard and sleeps on the streets. When he has no money, he goes to the dock to make a big bag. All the money he earns from a hard day's work is used to buy wine, and he sleeps on the street when he's drunk. Fortunately, someone sent by Su Qingni was watching him in secret, otherwise he would have been sold to the mine by the traffickers while he was unconscious. Zhang Baodan threw Zhang Bui directly into the bathtub. Zhang Bui was almost drowned. After struggling to get his head out of the water, he sobered up. Seeing that it was his own brother, Zhang Bui couldn't help but think of his half-brother, his rival in love. The little joy that had just risen was suppressed, and his face was extremely ugly. Zhang Baodan and Zhang Bui have been brothers for more than 20 years, and they still understand him. Seeing his expression, they know that he thinks of Ren Chengfu. They also understand why their wife didn't come to see Zhang Bui. Zhang Baodan didn't waste any words and took out a letter of recommendation for Zhang Baodan. Zhang Baodan is good at martial arts, so it's just right for him to go to the border to shine. Isn't it because you are in so much pain that you have no desire to live? Then go to the battlefield. It's very easy to die. As long as you don't resist, your head can be chopped off by the enemy in an instant. Zhang Bui had the dream of becoming a general since he was a child, otherwise he would not have focused on learning martial arts. At this time, he had no goals in life, so why not just take out his childhood dream as a goal? Zhang Bui finally took the recommendation letter to the border. This recommendation letter was written by Su Qingni to Lord Su. General Zhanbi on the border was Lord Su's classmate. They were both companions of the emperor and grew up together. General Zhanbi would sell Lord Su's face. Lord Su felt that his youngest daughter was sorry for Zhang Bui. When he heard about his eldest daughter's arrangement for Zhang Bui, he immediately wrote this letter. Zhang Bui originally went to the border to die, but he really went to the battlefield and witnessed life and death with his own eyes. He escaped from the wound, and then he understood the preciousness of life. He began to take life in the barracks seriously. Although he still fought bravely every time he went to the battlefield, he was not looking for death, but wanted to kill more enemies and save more companions on his side. With a selfless spirit, Zhang Bui made many military exploits on the border, and his position in the army rose higher and higher, from a soldier to a lieutenant to a general to a deputy general to a general. In the end, Zhang Bui was awarded a title for his merits and became a super marquis, which brought great honor to the Zhang family and made Mr. Zhang very proud. Mr. Zhang also had some grudges against his son Zhang Bui because of the relationship between An Zhao and Ren Chengfu, but now all these grudges have disappeared because of the honor that Zhang Bui brought to the Zhang family. Mr. Zhang now shows off his eldest son when he goes out. As for the youngest son, forget it. This kid doesn't know where he went crazy, and he called it traveling. Can traveling for 10 years? But this youngest son is a giveaway, and now he doesn't know where his youngest son has gone. Only the letters and gifts sent back every once in a while let him know that his youngest son is still alive. Zhang Bui has outstanding military exploits and is young, so the emperor took a fancy to him and married his daughter to Zhang Bui, making him a son-in-law. Fighting on the battlefield these years, Zhang Bui had no time to think about Su Qingfeng, and his feelings for him faded. Now looking back, Zhang Bui no longer had any waves in his heart when he thought of Su Qingfeng. Even when Su Qingfeng and Ren Chengfu appeared in front of him, he smiled and talked to them calmly, feeling relieved. Su Qingfeng and Ren Chengfu left Luocheng after Ren Chengfu's internal injuries healed. They went to Jiangnan to settle down and do business there. Ren Chengfu was not good at literature or martial arts, but he had a great talent for business. Their business grew bigger and bigger, and finally they became the richest man in Jiangnan and became an imperial merchant. This year is Princess Xiaohu's 70th birthday. Su Qingfeng brought Ren Chengfu to Beijing to celebrate Princess Xiaohu's birthday. After so many years, Princess Xiaohu's anger has subsided. And Ren Chengfu has also made achievements, proving that Su Qingfeng's vision is still good. The two have 5 children, each of whom is cuter than their mother when she was a child. Princess Xiaohu and Lord Su and his wife softened their hearts when they saw these grandchildren. There is no way, Su Qingni has never given birth. The youngest son of the Su family is not even 10 years old now, and it is too early for him to have a great-grandson and a grandson. Can't they just have Su Qingfeng's child? Relying on the cute child, Su Qingfeng and Ren Chengfu entered the Su family. Zhang Bui came to celebrate Princess Xiaohu's birthday on behalf of Zhang Baodan. Su Qingni and Zhang Baodan did not come back, but only sent back gifts and entrusted Zhang Bui to help them deliver them to Princess Xiaohu. Zhang Bui met Su Qingfeng and Ren Chengfu in the Su mansion. Compared with the unnaturalness of Su Qingfang and Ran Chengfu, Jiang Bui was much more indifferent. He nodded politely to the two and left. Su Qingfang looked at his back and was full of emotion for a while. Su Qingni and Jiang Baden have been wandering outside all their lives. They only returned to the capital after Princess Xiaohua, Lord Su and his wife, and Lord Jiang died, and then left. Jiang Baden didn't want anything from the Jiang family. He felt that having Su Qingni in this life was enough. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 991, Deposed Crown Prince. Every time Su Qingni met Taiyai in a world, she would not meet him again in the next few worlds. Therefore, when Su Qingni found herself traveling back to Man again, she was very calm. However, the original owner was in a very bad situation. He was an abandoned prince who was imprisoned by the emperor. The original body's experience was very similar to Ix and Zhou Yinren. They were both princes in swaddling clothes and lost their mother since childhood. However, one thing that was different from Yinren was that his father did not like him as a prince. His father had a favorite woman and a son he liked more. This was discovered by Su Qingni after browsing the original body's memory. His father hid his true love very well, and he also hid his true love son very well. In the harem, his father chose a favorite concubine as a shield for true love, and in the court, the original owner was a shield for the son of true love. Now that the emperor is old, he has begun to pave the way for the son of true love. The first step is naturally to pull down the original owner's prince, and then use the matter of abolishing the prince as an excuse to suppress the power of other princes, abolish or demote the princes or ruin their reputations, and finally leave the brilliant and majestic son of true love. The throne naturally fell on the head of the son of true love. Abandoned prince. No matter which prince comes to the throne, the abandoned prince will not have a good end. Especially the third prince of the son of true love. Because the image of kindness established outside is a kind image, every time he meets the original body, he is respectful, but his eyes are full of jealousy and contempt for the original body. Generosity is just pretending. This person is actually petty and vindictive. What a trouble. Su Qingni rubbed her forehead. She can't just leave. The original owner still has a wife, a concubine, 2 sons and 3 daughters. These are the responsibilities left to Su Qingni by the original owner. She can't abandon them and leave. Su Qingni thought for a long time, set up several plans in her mind for deduction, and then chose one from them for more detailed differentiation. An afternoon passed like this. There was a knock on the study door, and it was time to finish dinner. The serving palace servant asked Su Qingni if she would have dinner now. Su Qingni nodded. A eunuch came in with a food box and put the food on the table. 3 dishes and a bowl of rice. For the original owner, this dinner was too simple. At first, the original owner was so angry that she didn't eat, but after a long time, the original owner accepted her fate and started to eat. There was no way, if she didn't eat, she would be hungry. Su Qingni picked up a mouthful of food with chopsticks and put it in her mouth, then stopped the action immediately, and then started to eat as if nothing had happened. However, she showed that she had a poor appetite, and she stopped eating after 2 or 3 bites. The food was taken away. Su Qingni sat in a daze on the chair, but she was actually practicing. She had to practice internal strength quickly to expel the toxins in her body. The original owner's situation was worse than Su Qingni had imagined. He was abolished, but some people didn't let him go and put slow poison in his food. The emperor knew? He must know. The original owner was monitored by the emperor's people. Not only the emperor's people, but also the people of the concubines in the harem and other princes. The original owner's own people were very few, only 1 or 2, and it was not certain whether they were also bribed. The beginning was hell mode. After the original owner was abolished, he often locked himself in the study and didn't let anyone disturb him. The servants were used to it. Except for reminding the original owner to eat, they would not enter the study to disturb the original owner at other times. This gave Su Qingni a quiet environment for cultivation. Since the original owner was abolished, he had never entered his inner courtyard to find a woman to accompany him. Therefore, he was alone at night. Su Qingni took advantage of one night to cultivate a trace of internal force. The original owner's health was very poor, and a lot of toxins accumulated in his body, or different types of toxins. This was not done by people from one side. Using that trace of internal force to expel a little bit of toxins was less than 1% of all toxins. There was no way out, the internal force was still too little. Fortunately, the toxins discharged were more than the toxins eaten last night. The next day's breakfast was still poisoned, and Su Qingni only ate 2 bites for the sake of courtesy. Lunch was also poisoned. Those people were eager for her to die. At night, Su Qingni slipped out of the palace where she was imprisoned. After a day of practice, her internal force increased a lot. With the help of Qinggong's skills and spiritual consciousness, Su Qingni sneaked into the imperial kitchen without any danger. Finding food from the imperial kitchen, Su Qingni finally had a full meal. She took out some cakes wrapped in cloth as dry food and took them back to eat slowly. There was no way out, her strength was not strong enough now, so she could only survive first. The food mixed with toxins still had to be eaten. In the next few days, Su Qingni went to the backyard to meet the women and children of the original owner. The result was not very good. The women in the backyard were fine, and the daughter was fine, but the 2 sons were both poisoned by the medicine that made people weak. Those people were really cruel, and they didn't even let go of the 2 or 3-year-old children. In this way, Su Qingni had to detoxify her 2 sons in addition to detoxifying herself every day. She asked someone to bring the 2 children to the study, saying that she would teach them herself. No one else was suspicious. They all thought that the father and son were dead, so they let Su Qingni do whatever she wanted. Even if Su Qingni pulled the 2 children to practice softboxing and kicking together, they didn't care. The 3 of them were poisoned, and even if Hua Tuo was alive and taught them the 5 animals exercises, they wouldn't live long. These people don't know that there is a peerless skill like Yang Xinguang, and there will be a lot of time for them to regret in the future. It is still too slow to detoxify with Yang Xinguang alone, but the Imperial Hospital is more strictly managed than the Imperial Kitchen. Su Qingni can't steal the medicinal materials, nor can she prepare antidotes for the 3 of them. She must change her current situation. Su Qingni's eyes looked to the west, where the emperor's most beloved woman, Concubinda, lived. Concubinda was not the most beautiful woman in the harem, nor was she the one with the most special temperament, but the emperor just liked her. Su Qingni checked the diary in the original owner's memory and found that this woman was most likely a time-traveling girl. A time-traveling girl without a golden finger. The kind of girl who had no golden finger and could only live calmly in the backyard of the prince and emperor, and then rely on this calmness to attract the attention of the prince and emperor, and then make the prince and emperor fall in love with her. She looked like she didn't fight or compete. That was because the prince and emperor would help her fight and compete. Other women would be set off as vicious in front of her, and the children of other women were either brain dead or vicious villains. Such a person looks very innocent, but is she really innocent? Chapter 992, Deposed Crown Prince 2. Although the original owner was abolished and surrounded by other people's spies, she still had some manpower. The original owner knew that the emperor did not like her, and secretly cultivated some forces, which were buried very secretly and were not discovered by the emperor. However, these secret forces were too small to do anything big, and they were not of much use in changing the original owner's situation. The original owner had not used them and let them continue to lie dormant. Now, Su Qingni decided to use them. Not long after, everyone in the harem knew a piece of news. The emperor's true love was Concubinda, and the imperial concubine was just a shield for Concubinda. The emperor's favorite heir was the 3rd prince. The concubines in the harem believed it after hearing the news. There are no stupid women who can survive in the harem. No one pointed out the things the emperor did for Concubinda, and everyone would not think deeply about it. But as long as you think deeply, how can you not understand it? This time, Concubinda is having a hard time. There were constant troubles, and the 3rd prince was also troubled by people in the court. The maiden families of these concubines are not vegetarians. They used to be independent, but they were able to bring down the prince after uniting. Now they are dealing with the 3rd prince together. The people sent by the 3rd prince fell one after another, and the forces formed by the 3rd prince himself soon disappeared. However, the 3rd prince was protected by the emperor. Without the people he had formed, the 3rd prince still had the people given to him by the emperor. The other princes-in-laws and Yu's families were now more certain of the authenticity of the news. They were fooled by the emperor. They worked hard to bring down the prince, but in fact they were just making wedding clothes for others. How could these people be willing? So what if the emperor protected the third prince? Can he protect the third prince's position in the court, but can he protect the third prince's life? 2 months later, the emperor took the courtiers and princes to the hunting ground to hunt. Su Qingni, the imprisoned prince, naturally could not go. She continued to practice health-preserving boxing in the yard with her 2 children. The 2 children's health improved a little, but the drugs in their bodies were not completely discharged. Next, both the former dynasty and the harem will be in chaos. Su Qingni will take this opportunity to get some medicinal materials from the imperial hospital and make an antidote for the 2 children. In addition to exercising the 2 children, Su Qingni is also studying to make something like a life and death talisman. She originally wanted to make a few poisons for the people around her to take, and lied to them that they were eating the 3 corpses brain pill. But after thinking about it, she gave up. The main reason is that the effect of the life and death talisman is too amazing and more deterrent. No matter who these people are, they will eventually become her people. This day, Su Qingni still took the 2 children to practice boxing in the yard. Almost everyone in her palace was hit by the life and death talisman, and all became her subordinates. The guards surrounding the palace also became Su Qingni's subordinates. In this way, there is no chronic poison in the food of Su Qingni and the 2 children, and Su Qingni will soon know what happened in the harem in the former dynasty. After a set of boxing, Su Qingni asked the 2 children to rest. She was about to drink a cup of tea when a little eunuch walked in. He first bowed to Su Qingni, and then reported the news he had just received. There's news from the hunting ground. The 3rd prince and the 7th prince were attacked by wolves while hunting. The 3rd prince's horse was frightened by the wolves and fell off the cliff with the 3rd prince. The man was found, but he only had his last breath left. I don't know if he can be saved. The 7th prince was scratched on the cheek by a wolf's claw and his face was disfigured. Concubine fainted when she heard the news. Su Qingni waved her hand after hearing this, and the little eunuch retreated. The emperor must be furious. The 2 sons he loved, one was dying and the other was disfigured. The person who did it was really cruel. I wonder if the emperor will find out the real culprit? What will he do if he finds out? Anyway, this matter has nothing to do with me. I am in confinement and have no contact with the outside world. Su Qingni picked up a piece of melon from the plate and started eating. Originally, she didn't have melons here, but since she had put life and death spells on several stewards of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, there were fruits in the palace. There will be no shortage of charcoal in winter and ice in summer. Well, this melon is so sweet. Eating melon is a very enjoyable day. News from the harem in the previous dynasty came into Su Qingni's ears from time to time, all of which were first-hand news. The 3rd prince was not saved and died on the way back to the palace. The imperial physician who treated the 3rd prince was sentenced to death by the furious and sad emperor. Su Qingni did not sympathize with this one. This one was a confidant of Defei and the 3rd prince. One of the poisons that the original body was infected with was provided to the 3rd prince by this imperial physician. Su Qingni took another bite of the melon. Well, the melon is even sweeter now. The emperor is still on the way, and the women in the harem are using the excuse of comforting Defei to provoke Defei. Did Defei faint twice? She must be in poor health. It would be best if she died of sadness. Defei used to face the women in the harem with an indifferent look, not participating in the fights of the women, not actively hurting others, and only when others took the initiative to provoke her would she fight back. She always acted as if she didn't care about the emperor. Many women in the harem thought that Concubine was a good person, and many of them were on good terms with her. But since they knew that Concubine was the emperor's true love, everyone regarded Concubine as their biggest enemy and wanted to kill her. They felt that they were a joke in front of Concubine. When they were fighting with each other, Concubine must have been laughing at them. These women were very good at talking, and their words were heartbreaking, which successfully made Concubine faint again and again, and her health became worse and worse. However, this one was really a little strong, just fainted, but not dead. It made the women in the harem regretful. Su Qingni avoided the guards of Zhongke Palace and came to the outside of Concubine's bedroom. The voice of a woman came from the bedroom. This voice was very nice, soft and magnetic. It was Concubine's voice. But at this time, this person's voice was full of coldness and murderous intent. Since my Huiner is dead, the other princes can't think of living, so go down and bury my son. The viciousness in the words made everyone who heard it shudder. Then Concubine began to give orders. As Su Qingni expected, Concubine was not a pure white lotus, nor was she a good person. Just listen to her orders. All the emperor's sons must be buried with her son. This scope not only includes the adult princes who competed with her son for the throne, she even did not let go of the young princes who were not yet adults. This woman is really cruel. Chapter 993, Deposed Crown Prince III. What about the one in Yuking Palace? The people around Defei should know her true nature. They regained their composure after a short while and asked. Defei smiled coldly, I don't need to do anything to that person. He won't live long. I will be merciful and let him go this time. Su Qingni, I thank you for your great mercy. The palace maid was dismissed by Defei, and Defei was the only one left in the room. She waved her right hand, and 2 jade boxes appeared in her palm. Humph, do you think my Langer can't inherit the throne because of his broken leg and disfigurement? With me here, Langer will definitely recover, and the throne will only belong to my son. Defei's words were full of hostility. Huiner, wait, your mother will send those princes to be buried with you first. After a while, your father will also be sent to accompany you. Walk slowly on the road to the underworld. Su Qingni saw the box suddenly appear in Defei's palm and raised her eyebrows. Portable space? This person is still a time traveler with a plug-in. This one is really cruel. In order to become the Queen Mother, she even wanted to kill the man who had slept with her for more than 20 years. Su Qingni lit candles for the Emperor, but she did not sympathize with the Emperor at all, let alone stop Defei's actions. Su Qingni returned to the palace where she lived. There was no melon to eat at this time. Su Qingni could only drink a cup of cold tea and go to bed to rest. 3 days later, the Emperor returned to the palace with the body of the third prince. The old Emperor was very sad. As soon as he came back, he hugged Defei and said I'm sorry. Defei comforted the old Emperor considerately and gently. The old Emperor lived in Defei's honky palace for a long time. Anyway, the fact that he really loved Defei had been exposed, and he didn't have to act anymore. In the past, other women in the harem would definitely tear up a lot of handkerchiefs. But this time, the women in the harem were not angry. They were very considerate of the Emperor and Defei, and they would be virtuous and not disturb the two people licking each other's wounds. The 7th prince was taken to Zhongke Palace. As a prince in his teens, it is stipulated that he cannot stay in his mother's bedroom. However, the women in the harem and the ministers of the previous dynasty were considerate enough not to cry out that it was not in accordance with the rules. The 7th prince was already useless and posed no threat to them. However, a month later, the 7th prince appeared in the court. Not only had the scars on his face healed, his smooth face was even wider and more tender than before the injury, his broken legs were also healed, and he walked with vigor. The other princes felt a huge threat from the 7th prince. Sure enough, the emperor was about to issue an order to make the 7th prince the crown prince. Although he was jointly stopped by many ministers, it could not be stopped for long, as the emperor had made up his mind. The princes united again. If they could kill the 3rd prince, they could naturally kill the 7th prince. Even if the emperor protected the 7th prince tightly, what would happen? The combined power of the women in the harem would only be greater than that of the emperor. However, they did not have the chance to act. Concubine killed them first. One by one, the princes died in different ways. Some people thought that it was the revenge of Concubine. The women in the harem who lost their children came to kill Concubine, but the emperor arranged protection around Concubine. These women could not hurt Concubine and were dealt with by the emperor one by one. In the eyes of the emperor, Concubine was kind and never caused trouble. How could she harm his son? Someone must have fished in troubled waters and killed him and Concubine's son first, and then killed his other sons. Who could it be? Who would be the biggest vested interest? The emperor turned his eyes to the direction of Yuking Palace. But then he shook his head and denied it. Su Qingni was imprisoned in the Nordic region. All her forces were dispersed by the emperor, and she was surrounded by the emperor's spies. How could she have the ability to attack the 3rd prince and other princes? Who could it be? The emperor pulled out his surviving brothers and other princes of the clan and suspected them one by one, and even some ministers in the court were suspected by the emperor. So many suspicious objects were pulled out at once, and the emperor was terrified. However, he did not doubt the true love beside him, and did not see that the true love had drugged his teacup. Your Majesty, have a drink of water. Defei personally held a teacup to the emperor's mouth. The emperor was not on guard against Defei, and he lowered his head and drank the tea mixed with medicine. The effect of the medicine took effect quickly, and it didn't take long for the emperor to feel uncomfortable. He became weak all over, and even lost the strength to speak. "Your Majesty? Your Majesty." Defei acted panic-stricken and shouted, "Hurry up and ask someone to invite the imperial physician. The emperor has had a stroke." "No need." The voice of the imperial concubine came from outside. "We have brought the imperial physician." With a voice, the imperial concubine walked in, followed by other concubines in the harem, all of whom were concubines whose children had died. Behind them were their natal families, the children's in-laws, and some high-ranking officials in the court, including the emperor's confidants. When Defei saw these people, she knew that she was exposed. Although the medicine she gave the emperor was effective quickly, the drug would remain in the body for a while, at least a cup of tea, so that the imperial physician could not find out and thought that the emperor had really had a stroke. But now the emperor had just taken the medicine, and the concubines in the harem came with the imperial physician, and also with the ministers in the court. She could not hide the fact that the emperor had given the medicine. It seems that the imperial concubines knew that she was going to take action against the emperor. Someone around her betrayed her? Who? If she knew who the betrayer was, she would definitely cut that person into pieces. Use the most poisonous poison in the space to treat them. The imperial physician had already examined the emperor's pulse and came to the conclusion. At first, the emperor really thought that there was something wrong with his body, but after hearing the imperial physician's diagnosis, he realized that the woman he really loved had actually hurt him. He wanted to ask why. Why did she hurt him? But he didn't even have the strength to ask. He could only stare at Concubinda with his eyes, hoping that Concubinda would understand what he meant and give him an answer. But Concubinda was not in the mood to pay attention to him at this time. Concubinda was not a person who accepted her fate. Even though the facts were before her eyes, she was determined to turn the situation around. She had the biggest trump card in her hand, which was the seventh prince. The other princes were all dead, and the deposed crown prince would not live long either. Who else could take that position except the seventh prince? She was the biological mother of the future emperor. Those important officials didn't want the new emperor's mother to have a bad reputation, right? Defei immediately regained her composure, pretending to be angry, and said to the imperial concubine and the other women, "How could I harm the emperor? It was you. You must have secretly drugged the emperor and then framed me. Otherwise, how could you have come so timely? Did you calculate the time accurately?" Chapter 994, Deposed Crown Prince 4. After listening to Concubinda's words, the emperor felt that it made a lot of sense. Concubinda was his lover, how could she harm him? It must be those vicious women who harmed him and put the blame on Concubinda. The emperor turned his angry eyes to the imperial concubine and others, wishing he could kill them immediately. The imperial concubine and others did not expect that Concubinda could still confuse right and wrong after being caught in the act. They were extremely angry, but they were even more afraid of Concubinda. The imperial concubine understood where Concubinda's confidence was. Wasn't it just because the seventh prince was fine that he could directly inherit the throne? The imperial concubine winked at her brother, and her brother immediately withdrew. The imperial concubine's brother was the governor of the 9 gates, managing most of the military power in the capital. This is also the reason why the emperor chose the imperial concubine to be a shield for Concubinda and pampered the imperial concubine in various ways, all for the imperial concubine's family to see. Not long after the imperial concubine's brother went out, someone came to report that the 7th prince had fallen off his horse. This time the 7th prince did not have the good luck of the last time, he just broke his leg and injured his face. This time, the 7th prince was trampled to death by a horse hoof on the head. Dead? Dead? Her other child was also dead. She had lost her trump card. She could not be the queen mother. Concubinda exploded all of a sudden. She traveled to ancient times and lived in frustration, sharing a cucumber with many women in frustration. Why? It was for herself to become the most noble woman in the world one day, to become the queen mother, and to be high above. But now her sons are dead, and her way up is cut off. She has no hope. Ah, Concubinda screamed, "I will kill you to avenge my son." As she spoke, a lot of medicine bottles appeared in her hands. Concubinda opened the bottle cap and threw it at the concubines in the harem and the ministers in the court. Without the bottle cap, all the powder in the bottle was scattered and fell on everyone, and some were inhaled by people. Those who absorbed the powder soon had black blood flowing out of their mouths and collapsed to the ground. Everyone knew that the powder was poison, and they quickly retreated to avoid it. Those who were covered with powder took off their clothes without caring about their image, and took off the hats and hair accessories covered with powder on their heads and threw them away. Everyone looked extremely embarrassed, and had no time to care about the initiator, Concubinda, and the emperor lying on the bed. Concubinda was very active, and when she opened the bottle cap, a lot of powder fell out and stained her and the emperor. The poor emperor was unable to move or avoid it, and the powder fell directly into his mouth, nose and eyes. Like those who collapsed, he had black blood flowing out of his mouth, nose and eyes, and was dying. Concubinda was also poisoned, and she was so scared that she quickly looked for an antidote to detoxify herself. But she took out so many poisons at once, and these poisons were mixed together, and the toxicity was superimposed and mutated, and a simple antidote could not solve the mixed toxins. Not long after, Concubinda also collapsed to the ground. When Su Qingni was invited out by a group of ministers, she saw a dead body on the ground in the emperor's bedroom. The emperor died, Concubinda died, concubine Gui died, other concubines in the harem died, and their families died. Su Qingni ascended the throne. Some concubines' families and other princes-in-laws knew that the new emperor was poisoned with chronic poison, and they were all thinking about when the new emperor would die and who they would nominate to succeed him as emperor. These people started a new round of betting, looking for the next emperor candidate among the royal family, wanting to win the credit of following the dragon. Su Qingni saw all their actions and acted as a clown. She is in good health now. When Concubinda died, her plug-in was taken by Su Qingni. It was a storage space, without spiritual springs and land, and no one could enter. There were only many medicine bottles and medicines with different effects, as well as medicinal materials with long years and very good efficacy. Su Qingni didn't have to go to the imperial hospital to find medicinal materials. She directly used the medicinal materials in the space to prepare an antidote and gave it to the two children and herself. Now all the toxins in the bodies of the three people have been eliminated. In the future, as long as they eat and drink well and practice health-preserving exercises every day, they will definitely live to be 100 years old. Those who hoped that Su Qingni and the two children would die quickly waited and waited, but they did not receive the news of Su Qingni's death, but waited for their own family to be raided. Su Qingni took out various evidences of their crimes in the morning court, which were extremely detailed. Some things they had forgotten, but Su Qingni had them checked out. According to the evidence Su Qingni brought out, those who should be executed were executed, and those who should be exiled were exiled, which was neat and tidy. After these people stepped down, Su Qingni quickly found the most suitable people to replace the positions vacated. After these actions, other officials were heartbroken. Did the emperor plan to take action against these people a long time ago? They all knew about these people who jumped up and down to contact their relatives and wanted to follow the dragon's merits, and some people were tempted by this. Now they are glad that they were just tempted and did not take action, otherwise they would have a place in the Xianlao. This new emperor is really patient and has enough means. Everyone couldn't help but think of how this one came to power. All other princes died, leaving only him. To be able to survive to the end, this person's means must be extraordinary, and it should not be explained by so-called good luck. I am afraid that this person was involved in that storm. Not to mention other things, from the collection of evidence of those people's crimes, it can be seen that this person has a very powerful intelligence network in his hands. It is possible that the deaths of those princes and even the previous emperor were all planned by this person. The ministers were frightened by their own imagination, and they all shuddered, and they were even more afraid of Su Qingni. Su Qingni smiled. The effect of killing the chicken to scare the monkey is very good, and the next step can be taken. Su Qingni began a drastic reform. The court officials were frightened and dared not oppose Su Qingni. Su Qingni successfully implemented the plan she had formulated, focusing on industry and agriculture. Under Su Qingni's governance, the country became stronger and stronger. The barbarians on the border invaded, and the soldiers took the sharpest weapons to kill the barbarians and sent them back to their hometown. The barbarians were seriously injured and did not dare to invade the border for 50 years. Su Qingni taught the two children personally. When they grew up, Su Qingni handed the throne to the eldest son. She gave the youngest son a world map and prepared soldiers, horses, ships, weapons and various technical personnel for him. The youngest son took these people out to sea and found another continent according to the map. He established a country there and helped his eldest brother. Su Qingni was the emperor for 20 years and then she stopped. She lived to be 100 years old in this world. The two sons lived to be 118 and 120 years old respectively. Those who hoped that they would die early turned into dust decades ago. Chapter 995, The Talented Scholar. Su Qingni's current identity is the child bride of a young master of a wealthy family. However, this child bride is 12 years older than the young master. Chang Wenyan was a premature baby and had been suffering from major and minor illnesses since birth. Later, a Taoist priest told Chang Wenyan that Chang Wenyan's fate was light and he needed a person with a heavy fate to suppress him so that he could grow up safely. So the Chang family found the original body according to the fate given by the Taoist priest and hired the original body back home to be a child bride for their son. Since the original body became Chang Wenyan's child bride, his health has really been getting better day by day. Therefore, the Chang family's parents are very satisfied with the original body and think that she is a good daughter-in-law. 20 years later, Chang Wenyan grew up and became a famous talent in the Jiangnan area. Not only did he make achievements in the imperial examinations, he became a juror at the age of 15, and he was also a master of calligraphy and painting. The calligraphy and paintings he wrote are sought after by many people. There are even many girls who regard him as their dream lover. Chang Wenyan's title of a talented man is preceded by the word romantic. He often went in and out of brothels with a few friends, wrote many poems for the courtesans, and painted many pictures of beauties. He was like a second Liu Sanbian. Later, Chang Wenyan fell in love with a prostitute and wanted to take her into the Chang mansion. Of course, the Chang couple would not object, and the original body did not dare to object. She was 12 years older than Chang Wenyan and looked ordinary. Chang Wenyan was older, and she was old. Chang Wenyan did not like her. Although she was the daughter-in-law of the Chang family, she and Chang Wenyan had never held a wedding, let alone a bridal chamber. Chang Wenyan did not touch the original body, and the original body could not have children. Chang's father and mother had long wanted to take a concubine for their son. At this time, their son wanted to take a prostitute from the brothel, so how could they object? Anyway, she was just a concubine, not a wife. And her body was still innocent, so there was no need to worry about whether the child was of the Chang family's blood. The original body looked at the Qingwen people entering the room with a smile, and looked extremely generous. But when she was alone in the room, the original body would hug the quilt and cry. What if she was not generous? She was already old and ugly, and her nominal husband didn't like her. If she didn't follow her parents-in-law and husband and was driven out of the Chang family, how would she live? Her life would be like this. From the moment she was sold by her biological parents, she accepted her fate. In fact, she was still lucky. She was not sold to the brothel Chugwen, nor was she a slave to others. She now has food and clothes, and maids to serve her. Her life is really good. Very good. Convincing herself with these words, the original body felt calm. Qingwen was quite respectful to the original body after entering the house. Although the original body occupied the title of the main wife, she was too old to be liked by her husband, and she didn't have the confidence to manage her as a concubine. Moreover, she was born in a brothel, and she was inferior to others. It was impossible for her to become the main wife of her husband. Why should she be disrespectful to this honest main wife? What if this honest man is angry to death, and the husband marries a young and beautiful wife? Wouldn't she lose more than she gains? So the concubine respects the wife, the family is harmonious, Chang's parents are happy, and Chang Wenyan is also happy. Chang Wenyan likes beautiful things. After the second concubine came into the house, he took in many beautiful women as concubines. Some of these people are beautiful girls from small families, some are concubines from merchants, and some are peasant girls. They all admire Chang Wenyan's talent and his appearance, and voluntarily enter the Chang family to be Chang Wenyan's concubines. However, with so many women, Chang's parents still don't have a grandson. You know, women are more right and wrong. Those women are not honest, and in order to compete for the husband's love, they use all means. They hope to give birth to Chang Wenyan's first child. If other women get pregnant before them, they will get rid of that person's belly. In this way, it has been 3 years since the second concubine came into the house until the 8th concubine came into the house, but no woman has become pregnant. Chang's father and mother didn't care about what happened in their son's backyard. They didn't know that the women in their son's backyard were fighting like black chicken eyes. The reason why they didn't hold their long-cherished grandson was all due to these women. The women always looked harmonious in front of Chang Wenyan, and Chang Wenyan didn't know what these women looked like behind their backs. He felt that he was the happiest person in the world. Some time ago, Chang Wenyan took in the 9th concubine. This concubine was rescued by Chang Wenyan from outside. At that time, the 9th concubine was injured and fainted in front of Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan saw the face of the 9th concubine, which was more beautiful than his other 8 women combined, and he fell in love at first sight. He rescued her back to the Chang family and took good care of her. After waking up, the 9th concubine thanked Chang Wenyan, and the two talked about poetry, calligraphy, painting, history, and the present. The 9th concubine was a talented woman and had a lot in common with Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan only liked the appearance of the 9th concubine at first, but now because of her talent, he fell deeply in love with her. 9th concubine is the woman that Chang Wenyan truly loves, so he treats her very differently. After 9th concubine recovered from her injury, she became Chang Wenyan's 9th concubine in the name of repaying the life-saving grace with her own body. The women in the backyard found out that Chang Wenyan was against 9th concubine, so they united to deal with her. 9th concubine's methods were very high, and the methods used by those women never tricked 9th concubine, but instead backfired on themselves. The two sides fought for 2 months, and 9th concubine suddenly ran away from home, leaving a letter stating that the women in the backyard were targeting her. She couldn't stand it anymore, so she left. In fact, she was reluctant to leave Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan exploded when he saw the letter. After a lot of anger at the concubines, he ran out to find 9th concubine. Unfortunately, he couldn't find 9th concubine in the whole city. Chang Wenyan became depressed, drinking all day long, and was even more unwilling to see the women in the backyard. Finally, several of his good friends couldn't stand it anymore, so they came to him every day, took him out to relax, and tried to comfort him. Chang Wenyan was moved to see that several of his good friends had gone to great lengths to make him happy, and he stopped drinking and recovered. But he no longer went to brothels and concubines' rooms like before. Whenever the moon was full, he would look at the moon and miss the 9th concubine who had left. Chang Wenyan didn't want to see the concubines anymore, but the concubines always came to Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan used to enjoy all kinds of kindness and gentleness, but now he finds it very annoying. Chang Wenyan simply left the Chang family without seeing anything, and left his hometown with several good friends in the name of taking the imperial examination, and went to the capital. Without a man, the concubines settled down, and the Chang family lived a peaceful life. However, one night, several men in black broke into the Chang family. Chapter 996, The Romantic Talent Part 2. What were the men in black looking for at the Chang family? If they couldn't find it, they tortured the Chang family's parents, the original body, and the concubines to find out the whereabouts of Yan Shuhan. Who is Yan Shuhan? They didn't know her. Unfortunately, the men in black didn't believe them. The second concubine couldn't answer the whereabouts of Yan Shuhan, so the men in black killed her with a knife. The third concubine couldn't answer either, so the men in black killed her with a knife. It was the original body who had the courage to ask the men in black what the characteristics of Yan Shuhan were. When the men in black told the characteristics of Yan Shuhan, everyone realized that the 9th concubine Hanayan was the Yan Shuhan the men in black were looking for. The original body said that Yan Shuhan had left the Chang family, thinking that the men in black would let the living people go. As a result, the men in black didn't even think about letting a single person live. After the original body finished speaking, the men in black stabbed her. After Su Qingni entered this body, she quickly pressed the acupuncture points on her body to stop the bleeding, and then slowly moved towards the door. Fortunately, the black-clad man only killed people and did not set fires, otherwise, with Su Qingni's current body, she would have been burned or choked to death before she could even move to the door. Pushing the door open with force, Su Qingni could no longer support herself, and fell forward to the ground, shouting at the top of her voice, "Help! Help!" The cry was particularly loud in the dark night, first alarming the night watchman, and then waking up the neighbors. Seeing the night watchman running over to see the situation, Su Qingni closed her eyes with peace of mind, half unconscious and half practicing health-preserving exercises. After Su Qingni woke up, she found that her wounds had been treated and she was lying in an unfamiliar room. There was no one in the room. Su Qingni raised her hand and made a little noise, and soon someone came in to check the situation. Su Qingni recognized a person who came in as the eldest brother of the seventh aunt, a doctor, and his family had a medicine shop. At the beginning, this Dr. Su opposed his sister to be a concubine, but the seventh aunt just liked the talented Chang Wenyan and insisted on marrying Chang Wenyan. Finally, Dr. Su had no choice but to agree. But he disliked the seventh aunt because it was embarrassing. He had cut off contact with her since she entered the Chang family. At this time, Dr. Su had sadness on his face. After all, she was his own sister. How could he not be sad to see her die so suddenly? Madam Chang. Dr. Su was quite respectful to Su Qingni. Although he didn't contact the seventh aunt anymore, he still secretly inquired about the news of the Chang mansion. He knew that Madam Chang was a generous wife and never made things difficult for the concubines in the family. The 8 concubines in the Chang mansion also respected Madam Chang, the wife. Dr. Su, thank you for saving me. Su Qingni thanked him. Dr. Su said, it is my duty to treat people's illnesses and injuries. Madam Chang, there is no need to thank me. Madam, I want to ask you, who killed my sister? Su Qingni sighed and said, I don't know either. They were a group of men in black. They came to find the 9th aunt. We said that the 9th aunt had left the Chang family, but they still didn't let us go and wanted to kill us all. I was lucky and I still had a breath left. Dr. Su showed a hateful expression on his face. 9th aunt. Su Qingni believed that if the 9th aunt appeared in front of Dr. Su, he would definitely kill her at the first opportunity. Su Qingni found that Dr. Su was not an ordinary person. He seemed to know martial arts. He knew martial arts but worked as an ordinary doctor in the city. Even his own sister didn't know that he knew martial arts. This Dr. Su's identity must be extraordinary. Dr. Su got the information he wanted and went out. After a while, the head of the police from the Yamen came in to question Su Qingni. Su Qingni told Su Qingni what happened last night again. There is very little information here. Apart from knowing that the real name of the 9th aunt is Yan Shuhan, we don't know what the black-clothed man is. The government office couldn't find any clues about the murderer. This case can only become an unsolved case. Su Qingni is recuperating at the Su family. Dr. Su is good at medicine and has good character. Not only did he use the best medicine to treat Su Qingni, but Dr. Su also took care of the funeral affairs of Chang's parents and other aunts. However, Su Qingni did not treat Dr. Su badly. The black-clothed man only killed people and did not rob money. The money of the Chang family was all there. Dr. Su did not accept gold and silver, so Su Qingni decided to give Dr. Su a 300-year-old ginseng collected by Su's mother. Madam Chang, are you going back to the Chang family? Dr. Su saw Su Qingni packing her bags and asked, do you want me to help you hire a few servants? It's not convenient for you to live alone in the Chang family. Su Qingni shook her head and said, I'm not going back to the Chang family. I want to go to Beijing first to tell Wenyan about the Chang family. This matter should indeed be told to Chang Wenyan. Dr. Su nodded. Thank you for your care these days. This is a thank you gift, please be sure to accept it. Su Qingni handed the box of ginseng to Dr. Su. Dr. Su wanted to refuse, but Su Qingni said, the ginseng inside is 300 years old. Dr. Su's words of refusal stopped in his throat. How could a doctor not like medicinal herbs? Especially precious medicinal herbs. Thank you. Dr. Su took the box. Su Qingni smiled, picked up her bag and left Dr. Su's medicine shop. She walked out of the city gate alone, without taking a carriage or riding a horse. Riding a carriage is uncomfortable, so it is better to walk. At her current speed, if she keeps on traveling, she can walk hundreds of miles a day and will be able to reach the capital soon. Su Qingni didn't want to have anything to do with Chang Wenyan anymore. But Chang Wenyan must be informed of the affairs of the Chang family, and the Chang family's land deeds, silver bills and other things must be handed over to Chang Wenyan. Su Qingni didn't rush too much, so it took her 10 days to reach the capital. Before Su Qingni asked the locals about Chang Wenyan, she heard the explosive news about Chang Wenyan. This person was competing with Princess Zhao Ayu of Shenwang Mansion in Taipei Tower. There were 10 competitions in total, including piano, chess, calligraphy, poetry, wine, tea, civil governance and martial arts. Princess Zhao Ayu and Chang Wenyan could compete on their own or ask for external help. Chang Wenyan had 3 good friends, all of whom were talented and good at their own projects. Princess Zhao was not a pushover either. She was famous for her talent and knew many talented people in the Imperial Academy. The two sides should be evenly matched, and it would definitely be a wonderful competition. After hearing the news, many scholars in the capital rushed to Taipei Tower. After Su Qingni asked where Taipei Tower was, she also walked over. She was unable to enter Taipei Tower, as the outside of Taipei Tower was already surrounded by people watching the excitement. Su Qingni had no choice but to go to the third floor of a tea house near Taipei Tower and look at the situation inside Taipei Tower through the window. Fortunately, her five senses are sharper than those of ordinary people, and with a bonus of her internal strength, she can still see the people and things inside even though they are some distance away. Chapter 997 The Romantic Talent III. Su Qingni saw Chang Wenyan and his three friends at first sight, and then she saw a bright and somewhat unruly girl. However, the girl spoke and acted in a generous manner, which made Su Qingni admire her a little. Su Qingni listened to their arguments and knew that the two sides had already played 3 games. Chang Wenyan won 1 and lost 1, and the winner of the third game had not yet come out. In fact, the referee didn't know which side should be judged as the winner and which side should be lost. The third game was a calligraphy competition. Chang Wenyan's side played with his good friend Liu Zhe. Liu Zhe's calligraphy is very good, even better than Chang Wenyan, a talented scholar famous for his calligraphy and painting. He wrote in reverse script. That is, the words he wrote on the rice paper were reversed, and only from the back of the rice paper could you see what he wrote. This move was very amazing. However, the scholar sent by the other side was also extraordinary. He used both hands to write, and wrote with both hands, and wrote in different fonts and different contents. This move was also very powerful. The referee was amazed by the two people, and after discussing for a long time, he didn't know which side to judge as the winner. Chang Wenyan and Princess Zhao quarreled, but neither won, and the game ended in a draw. The next round was a painting competition. Chang Wenyan appeared in person, full of confidence, and glanced at Princess Zhao with pride. Princess Zhao rolled up her sleeves and decided to compete herself. Chang Wenyan's paintings were naturally very good, otherwise they would not be so popular. Princess Zhao painting skills were not as good as Chang Wenyan's, but she found another way and painted a Western figure painting. Chang Wenyan's paintings were profound, and the people in Princess Zhao paintings were like real people. The referee didn't know which side to judge as the winner. In the end, they judged it a draw as in the previous round. Chang Wenyan was not angry about the result, as the Western painting method made him feel novel. He was a person who loved painting, and he thought he would learn the Western painting method after today. The competition continued. Su Qingni sat by the window, drinking tea and eating snacks, watching the big show in the restaurant opposite. Chang Wenyan has now regained his high spirits and vigor before he met Yan Shuhan. It seems that Princess Zhao has had a great influence on him. The competition lasted for a whole day, and the two sides ended up in a tie. Except for Chang Wenyan and Princess Zhao who stared at each other with an unconvinced look, everyone else admired their opponent's skills. The two pairs of people began to talk, and they both wanted to make friends with each other. You're lucky this time. Princess Zhao snorted. What do you mean by good luck? This is called strength. Chang Wenyan retorted. Tisk. Princess Zhao looked disgusted, but in her heart she recognized that Chang Wenyan was indeed capable. Although you didn't win, I am a magnanimous princess, and the matter of you flirting with me is over. I said it was a misunderstanding. You don't look that good, and you are far inferior to my Hanayan. How could I flirt with you? Who is Hanayan? The one I like. Princess Zhao's expression became a little ugly when she heard this. She asked, call out the one named Hanayan, and I want to see how she can compare to me. Chang Wenyan replied sadly, she left, and I can't find her. Princess Zhao's expression improved, and her voice softened a little. Well, don't be too sad. If you are destined, you may meet again. Chang Wenyan said and didn't want to argue with Princess Zhao anymore, and walked out of Taipei Tower directly. Princess Zhao followed him, and she still had something to say to Chang Wenyan. However, as soon as he walked out of the door of the restaurant, Chang Wenyan stopped and looked at the woman blocking them in surprise. The woman's appearance can only be described as pretty, and she looks about 27 or 28 years old. This is because Su Qingni has been practicing health-preserving exercises since she came, which has nourished her body, and her appearance has begun to change, making her look younger than her actual age. When her original body was here, she looked much older than her actual age because she was in a depressed mood. Qingni, why did you come to the capital? Chang Wenyan asked in surprise. Su Qingni looked at the ignorant young man with pity. He came to the capital with his friends a year in advance, and now there are more than 8 months before the imperial examination. These more than 8 months are enough time for the young man to recover from his grief and will not affect his exam. Su Qingni was interrupted by Princess Xiaowei as soon as she opened her mouth. Princess Xiaowei looked at Su Qingni carefully for several times and asked Chang Wenyan, "Who is this woman?" "She is sister-in-law." Liu Zhe and the other two also came out of the restaurant. When they saw Su Qingni, they were also very surprised and shouted, "Sister-in-law." Princess Xiaowei glared at Liu Zhe and the other two. "You call her sister-in-law? Whose wife is she?" Princess Xiaoyu's angry look frightened Liu Zhe and the other two. Among them, Zhou Jingai trembled and pointed his finger at Chang Wenyan. "She is Brother Wenyan's wife?" Princess Xiaoyu was furious and yelled at Chang Wenyan, "Chang Wenyan, you bastard!" Then she ran away angrily. Chang Wenyan, Liu Zhe and the other two. Chang Wenyan reacted, "What's wrong with this guy?" Su Qingni smiled, "The princess likes you, she is jealous." Chang Wenyan shouted, "How is it possible? She never gave me a good face when she saw me, how could she like me?" Su Qingni said, "Your way of getting along is very much like a pair of bickering lovers." Chang Wenyan, "Who is a bickering lover with her?" Su Qingni smiled but said nothing. She thought that she, the legal wife, could give way. The princess was of noble status and it was absolutely impossible for her to be a concubine. Chang Wenyan asked, "Qingni, you haven't told me how you came to the capital? Did something happen?" Chang Wenyan didn't think in a bad direction. He just thought that his parents asked Su Qingni to come to the capital to take care of his diet and life. As for why Su Qingni was sent instead of other women, is there any need to say it? The other women must want to come but don't want other women to come. They must have been fighting and no one could come in the end, so they simply gave the opportunity to Su Qingni, the old woman who posed no threat to them. Su Qingni turned around and looked around the surrounding environment. Seeing that many people were curiously looking at them, she said, "Go back to your residence first, sit down and talk slowly." "Oh, okay." Chang Wenyan called Liu Zhe and the other two and took Su Qingni back to their residence. The four of them were not short of money, so they rented a courtyard with 2 entrances together. The backyard was the bedroom and study of the 4 people, and their book boy and kitchen lived in the front. They also hired an elderly couple nearby. The old man did chores and cleaned for them, and the old lady cooked and washed clothes for them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 998, The Romantic Talent 4. Given the relationship between Su Qingni and Chang Wenyan, she should live in Chang Wenyan's room. But Chang Wenyan felt awkward, and Su Qingni didn't want to sleep in the same bed with another man. So she chose a room in the outer courtyard. As 3 good friends of Chang Wenyan, they naturally knew that Chang Wenyan and Su Qingni were just nominal husband and wife, so they naturally didn't dissuade Su Qingni. Su Qingni chose a room and settled down before going to the backyard to find Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan sat under a big tree in the yard waiting for Su Qingni. Su Qingni walked over and sat down on the stool next to the young man. She took off her backpack, took out 2 wooden boxes from it, and handed one of them to Chang Wenyan. "What?" Chang Wenyan opened the box in confusion and found a thick stack of land deeds inside. Su Qingni took out another box, opened the lid, and let Chang Wenyan see the thick silver bills inside, each of which was denomination of 1,000 taels. Judging from the thickness, the amount of these silver bills added up to at least 200,000 taels. Chang Wenyan was shocked, staring at Su Qingni and asked, "Qingni, where did these deeds and banknotes come from?" Su Qingni said, "These are the property of the Chang family, and now they are handed over to you, the head of the family." "Head of the family? The head of the family is my father." "Where is my father? What happened to him?" Chang Wenyan asked in panic. "My father-in-law is dead, my mother-in-law is dead, and my sisters are all dead. I am the only one who survived in the entire Chang family," Su Qingni said. Then she told Chang Wenyan about the black-clothed man's extermination of the family. "Impossible. Impossible." Chang Wenyan shook his head violently, unwilling to accept this fact. Su Qingni looked at him indifferently, using her eyes to show that what she said was true. No, Chang Wenyan shouted and rushed out of the yard. Hearing Chang Wenyan shout, Liu Zhe and the other two hurried out of their rooms. Seeing that only Su Qingni was in the yard but not Chang Wenyan, Zhou Jingga asked in confusion, "Sister-in-law, where's brother Wenyan?" Su Qingni replied, "He ran away. A big change happened in the Chang family. My parents-in-law and sisters all died. Wenyan couldn't stand the blow and ran away. I just came to the capital and I'm not familiar with it. Can you go out and help me find him?" "What? Uncle Chang and Aunt Chang are dead?" The three were shocked and didn't talk to Su Qingni anymore. They ran out one by one, and called their servants to look for people separately. Su Qingni worked in the yard for a while, and then went out. She didn't go to look for people, but she was hungry and went outside to find food. Su Qingni saw a shop selling food on the street, so she sat down and ordered a bowl of plain noodles and a plate of side dishes. The noodles were steaming hot, and white smoke filled Su Qingni's eyes, but it couldn't block her sight. Su Qingni saw a familiar figure flash by. She hurriedly dropped a few copper coins and followed the figure. She didn't recognize the wrong person. That person was the 9th concubine Henian, and also Yan Shuhan that the man in black was looking for. Although she put on makeup and dressed up as a man. But she could hide from others, but not from Su Qingni's sharp eyes. Yan Shuhan's identity must be extraordinary. When she entered the Chang family to be the 9th concubine, it should not be because she really fell in love with Chang Wenyan. It is very likely that she took the opportunity to hide in the Chang family to avoid the people who were chasing her. Then she found that her whereabouts might be found by the Chang family, so she decisively left the Chang family, regardless of the life and death of the Chang family. The 9th concubine was very cautious and vigilant along the way, and occasionally looked back to see if anyone was following her. However, Su Qingni's lightness skills were better than hers, and her concealment level was higher, so the 9th concubine did not find Su Qingni following her. Yan Shuhan went all the way west and entered the Zicheng district where officials and dignitaries lived. The number of people here suddenly decreased by 2/3, so Su Qingni became more careful and followed Yan Shuhan to the wall of a family. Yan Shuhan found a corner door and knocked. The door was opened and Yan Shuhan slipped in. Su Qingni came to the corner door, stood there, and did not go in. It was easy for her to climb over the wall, but since this family was related to Yan Shuhan, I am afraid that the defense inside was very tight. Now it was daytime. What if she was discovered as soon as she entered? It would be better to explore this family after dark. Su Qingni followed the wall to the main gate of this family and saw the plaque on it. It turned out to be a prince's mansion. Shunwang Mansion? Isn't it the home of Princess Xiaoyu? Su Qingni clicked her tongue twice. Chang Wenyan and Shunwang Mansion are really destined to be together. When they returned to their residence, Chang Wenyan did not come back, and Liu Zhe and others did not come back either. Su Qingni continued to sit on the stool in the yard, pretending to wait for someone. When the moon was on the willow branches, Liu Zhe and others came back without bringing Chang Wenyan back. They were all very worried, but they didn't know where to look for him. The three of them thought about going out to look for someone after dinner, and someone came to the door. This was a little maid, and the three recognized her as Yu Ayan, the maid of Princess Xiaoyu. Yu Ayan told the three not to look for Chang Wenyan. Chang Wenyan was with their princess, and the princess was drinking with Chang Wenyan. Liu Zhe and the other two put down half of their worries after hearing this. They were all very tired that day, and after knowing that someone was watching Chang Wenyan, they went back to their rooms to rest. Yu Ayan looked at Su Qingni provocatively, and her eyes clearly showed the words, "How can an old woman be worthy of Master Chang?" and she snorted coldly and left with her waist twisted. Su Qingni naturally couldn't care about a maid. The corners of her mouth curled slightly. Princess Xiaoyu regarded her as a rival in love, but the real rival in love was in their palace. I don't know what expressions Yan Shuhan, Princess Xiaoyu and Chang Wenyan will have when they run into each other in the palace in the future. The moon was at its zenith, and the people in the yard were fast asleep. Su Qingni changed into a dark outfit, left the yard, and came to the outside of Prince Shun's mansion. She climbed in through the corner door that Yan Shuhan had entered, and as soon as she landed, she heard the barking of dogs. Su Qingni's heart moved, and she quickly took out the powder to cover up the smell and sprinkled it on herself. The barking of the dogs stopped, and Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief. The guards of this palace were tighter than she thought. Was it because there were many secrets in the palace that could not be told? So the palace was made like a dragon's den in a tiger's lair? A palace is more tightly guarded than the palace. The head of this palace must have a very big secret, perhaps related to Huantian? Exclamation mark. Su Qingni thought as she touched the study of the palace. Generally, secrets are hidden in the study of the head of the family. The guards in the study were tighter than other places. Su Qingni was very careful to avoid the guards and touch the window of the study. The light in the study was on and there was someone inside. Su Qingni heard a familiar voice. It was Yan Shuhan. It was just right. She didn't have to look for her everywhere. Chapter 999, The Romantic Talent 5. Yan Shuhan took out something, held it in her palms, and presented it to the man in the purple python robe in the study. Your Highness, this is the military token of the private soldiers raised by Prince Cheng. Except for the two high-ranking officials, the other private soldiers don't know who their masters are, and they only recognize the military tokens instead of people. Prince Shun took the so-called military token from Yan Shuhan. Why is it a jade hairpin? Yan Shuhan, this way people won't think it's a military token. Prince Shun carefully looked at the military token, nodded, and said to Yan Shuhan, you've worked hard, go down and rest. Yan Shuhan agreed and left the study. When Yan Shuhan's breath disappeared, another person hiding in the study appeared in front of Prince Shun. Prince Shun said coldly, send her to see her mother. Yes. The man also left the study. Su Qingni was waiting outside the study. Prince Shun sat in the study for a long time before leaving the study. After he left, Su Qingni entered the study. The study looked normal on the surface, but Su Qingni just saw Prince Shun open the secret compartment and put the military token in it. Following Prince Shun's practice, Su Qingni also opened the secret compartment. The military token was placed on the top. Su Qingni picked it up and looked at it, and couldn't help but marvel at the ingenuity and craftsmanship of the craftsmen in this world. There are actually several mechanisms set on this small jade hairpin, and it is very secretive and cannot be seen by ordinary people. In the eyes of others, this jade hairpin is just an ordinary jewelry. Putting down the jade hairpin, Su Qingni picked up some letters below. Prince Shun really had the intention of treason. These letters were letters of communication and discussion between him and several ministers who also had evil intentions. In addition, there were letters of his collusion with the Tatars. After knowing Prince Shun's purpose, Su Qingni didn't think of meddling in other people's business. She put down the letters and the jade hairpin, restored them, and left Prince Shun's mansion. Standing on the roof of a restaurant, Su Qingni saw the scene of chasing each other on the street. Yan Shuhan was chased again, and this time it was her original master who wanted to kill her. Yan Shuhan was already injured, which affected her escape speed. It was clear that she would be caught up soon. Su Qingni threw a few stones at the calves of the people chasing Yan Shuhan. The pain in their calves slowed down their speed. Yan Shuhan didn't know that someone was helping her, so she just ran forward with all her strength and escaped from the pursuit of the people in Shenwang Mansion. Su Qingni watched Yan Shuhan escape into a yard. This should be the hidden nest that Yan Shuhan had prepared for her. Coincidentally, it was not far from the yard rented by Chang Wenyan and others. What a fate! And not far to the right of this yard was a wine shop. The lights were still on in the middle of the night, and there were two drunkards in it who were drinking. In the end, both of them were drunk. The woman fell on the man, and the two fell asleep. No one came to disturb them. The owner and the servants of the wine shop had been sent away by the woman with the money. There were only these two people left in the shop. The next day, the two woke up in a buzzing sound. When they opened their eyes, they saw many people pointing at them. The two looked at each other in confusion, and the memory of last night came to their minds, and both of them blushed. Princess Zhao Yu stamped her feet and ran away in shame. Chang Wenyan also blushed with shame, covered his face with his sleeves, and got out of the crowd. What happened in the morning made Chang Wenyan feel better, but when he returned to the rented yard and saw Su Qingni, he thought of his parents again, and his face darkened again. But now he has calmed down a lot. Chang Wenyan walked to Su Qingni. Sister Qingni, can you tell me about that night again? Su Qingni nodded and told her what happened that night again. After hearing this, Chang Wenyan held his head in pain. It's all my fault. If I hadn't brought Hanayan home, my parents wouldn't be here. He loved Yan Shuhan in his heart, but when he heard that his parents and family died because of Yan Shuhan, this love began to turn into hatred. He was also very himself. If he hadn't coveted Yan Shuhan's beauty and brought her home, how could he have brought disaster to his family? It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Chang Wenyan was in great pain. Liu Zhao and the other two were also listening in because they were worried about Chang Wenyan, and they knew what happened in the Chang family. To be honest, they also felt that Chang Wenyan was responsible to a certain extent. If he didn't like beauty so much, he wouldn't bring the troublemaker home, and he wouldn't bring disaster to his family. They are also romantic and talented like Chang Wenyan. But now they are frightened by the things in the Chang family. These three people will definitely be more restrained in the future, and they will not flirt with beautiful girls as usual. These are all later stories. Now the three of them are surrounding Chang Wenyan to comfort him and help Chang Wenyan reduce his pain. Chang Wenyan's mood has recovered a little, and he asked Su Qingni about the handling of Chang's father and mother's funeral. Su Qingni said one by one that it was all the credit of Dr. Su. Chang Wenyan was very grateful to Dr. Su, and when he thought of the dead seventh aunt, he couldn't help but shed tears again. Because the funeral has been handled, Chang Wenyan doesn't have to go back to his hometown again. He continued to stay in the capital to prepare for the imperial examination. However, he changed into plain clothes and began to wear mourning for his parents. Su Qingni did not leave for the time being. First, she could not think of any excuse to leave for the time being, and second, she and Chang Wenyan were only husband and wife in name, and the rest of the things were done by each of them and would not hinder her. So she stayed for the time being, and treated Chang Wenyan like a friend and a younger brother. Princess Zhaoyu often came to see Chang Wenyan, but Chang Wenyan was not in the mood to pay attention to her. Princess Zhaoyu was very angry and ran away at that time. But within a few days, Princess Zhaoyu came again by herself. It seems that this princess really loves Chang Wenyan. Zhou Jinggai and the other two thought that Princess Zhaoyu was pretty good, so they wanted to match the princess and Chang Wenyan. They told Princess Zhaoyu about the Chang family, which made Princess Zhaoyu feel pity for her. She didn't care about Chang Wenyan's indifference to her at all, and she asked Chang Wenyan about her well-being every day. She asked the chef of the palace to make nourishing soup every day for Chang Wenyan to nourish his body, so that he wouldn't study too hard and become ill. The chef of the palace was very skilled, and the nourishing soup tasted very delicious. Princess Zhaoyu specifically asked the chef to make more. In addition to the soup for Chang Wenyan, the rest was left for Zhou Jinggai and the other two. They were grateful for what they received, and while drinking the delicious nourishing soup, the three of them often spoke well of Princess Zhaoyu in front of Chang Wenyan. Brother Wenyan, Princess Zhaoyu is sincere to you, you can't let her down. Yes, Brother Wenyan. Now that you are alone, you still have to marry a confidant to take care of yourself. Brother Wenyan. Chapter 1000, The Romantic Talent VI. Brother Wenyan, you are alone now, you still need to marry someone who can take care of you. Zhou Jinggai saw Su Qingni as soon as he finished speaking, and he froze. The other three people saw his reaction, curiously followed his gaze, and froze as well. They all forgot that Chang Wenyan had a legitimate wife. The main reason was that this one's presence was too low, and they didn't look down on child brides. Su Qingni smiled at the four people and said, "You don't have to worry about me. Wenyan and I don't have any feelings for each other. I have always regarded Wenyan as my younger brother. The princess will never be a concubine. I am willing to leave the house and let the princess be Wenyan's wife." Sister Qingni. Wenyan, don't say sorry, you are not sorry to me. On the contrary, I should thank my father-in-law and mother-in-law. If they didn't take me to the Chang family, I might be sold to someone else's family as a maid and suffer in someone else's family. I have enjoyed a good life for more than 10 years and I am satisfied. Su Qingni said, "We didn't get married or sign a marriage contract. Strictly speaking, I am not your wife. You are free now and can accept the princess with confidence." Sister Qingni. Wenyan, you call me sister, so I will be your sister in the future. Chang Wenyan was deeply moved, and the other three also felt that Su Qingni was very righteous. Su Qingni sneered in her heart. It was because she didn't care about Chang Wenyan that she said so. If the original owner was here, she would definitely be heartbroken by their words. How would a weak woman with no survival skills live without Chang Wenyan as her nominal husband? These people, with a label of loving flowers and cherishing jade, never consider women from their own perspective. Zhou Jinggai told Yuan what Su Qingni said, and Yuan told Princess Zhaoyu. After that, Princess Zhao Yuan's attitude towards Su Qingni changed drastically, and Princess Zhao called Su Qingni sister sweetly. Su Qingni had goosebumps, and simply went out early every morning and only came back to sleep at night to avoid Chang Wenyan, Princess Zhao and others. On this day, Su Qingni returned to the yard early and found that someone was secretly observing everyone in the yard. Su Qingni thought about it and decided that the person was most likely Yan Shuhan. Sure enough, it was. Su Qingni saw Yan Shuhan hiding in the dark and staring at Chang Wenyan and Princess Zhao. Yan Shuhan looked at Chang Wenyan with a complicated look, which contained both guilt and love. She loved Chang Wenyan, but the Chang family died because of her, and she knew that she would never be able to be with Chang Wenyan in this life. The look in her eyes when she looked at Princess Zhao was filled with hatred. This was a hatred for the whole family, and she also extended her hatred for Prince Shun to Princess Zhao. There were guests in the yard. In addition to Princess Zhao Yuan who often came, there was also a young man in his attendance. The young man was very graceful, and he became friends with Chang Wenyan and the other three. Looking at the scene of Chang Wenyan and the other three chatting and gossiping with the young man, Su Qingni slightly raised the corners of her lips. Chang Wenyan was so lucky. He actually met the emperor who went out of the palace incognito. This little emperor still had the leisure to go out of the palace to play. Did he know that the chair under his butt was coveted by several groups of people? This emperor is 1 year younger than Chang Wenyan and has been on the throne for 3 years. However, it is said that he likes to have fun and does not like politics, so most of the political affairs are handled by several old men in the cabinet. Because his behavior tends to be close to a tyrant, the old ministers are quite worried, while his uncles are secretly happy and have begun to plan to seize the throne from him. Prince Shun and Prince Cheng are the uncle and cousin of the young emperor. Prince Shun is the cousin, but his relationship with the emperor is better than that of Prince Cheng. Prince Cheng failed to compete for the throne with the emperor's father and has been dormant since then. But the late emperor would not take this younger brother lightly. He knew his younger brother's ambition and ability, so before he died, he told the young emperor to be wary of Prince Cheng. The young emperor listened to his father very much and did what his father told him to do. However, it was not easy to catch Prince Cheng's handle, so the young emperor could only win over his cousin Prince Shun to play against Prince Cheng. He didn't know that Prince Shun's ambition was no less than Prince Cheng's. The little emperor sat happily in this courtyard for a long time, chatting happily with Chang Wenyan and the other three. He admired Chang Wenyan's talent the most, but was most optimistic about Zhou Jinggai. He felt that Chang Wenyan's personality was not suitable for officialdom, but Zhou Jinggai was a good material for being an official. With his smooth temperament and talent, he would most likely enter the cabinet in the future. The little emperor was excited to think that he could promote a prime minister single-handedly. After that, the little emperor came to the small courtyard twice more, and the time came for the imperial examination. Su Qingni helped the 4 people prepare the things to bring into the examination room and sent them into the examination room. Su Qingni watched the examination room closed and turned back to the courtyard. She found that the atmosphere on the street was a little wrong. It was not because of the imperial examination, but the tension was murderous. Something big had happened. Sure enough, the streets became lively that night. Ordinary people hid in their homes and did not dare to go out until the sun rose the next day. They looked through the cracks in the door to see the situation outside. After finding that there was no danger, they opened the door and walked out of the house. The street still stank of blood, but the corpses and other things had been cleared away, leaving only some bloodstains on the ground. Princess Zhao ran to the yard with Yuan. She came to visit Su Qingni. This is a warm and kind girl. After knowing that Su Qingni took the initiative to leave the house, she respected Su Qingni as a sister. What happened last night, she was worried that Su Qingni would be in danger alone in the yard, so she ran over to visit Su Qingni early this morning to make sure Su Qingni was safe. It's so good that you're okay. Princess Zhao breathed a sigh of relief and said, I was scared to death last night. Su Qingni said, those people have gone to the wealthy families in West City and will not pay attention to us ordinary people. We are very safe here. But has your palace been attacked? Of course. But my guards are not vegetarians. They blocked the rebels outside the palace. Princess Zhao said. Su Qingni asked, does the princess know what's going on? Princess Zhao, I do know. I heard it from my father. It was Prince Cheng who rebelled. Prince Cheng had evil intentions for a long time, But fortunately, the Emperor and my father already knew his plan and made arrangements. Yesterday, he was caught in a trap. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.